From early morning to evening, a boy demonstrates his unwavering commitment. At 7 a.m., he runs 10 kilometers in the rain, each step reflecting his dedication. By noon, he's intensely focused on delivering 500 precise head strikes. At 5 p.m., he's in the gym, pushing through 10 sets of bench presses, squats, and deadlifts. His body screams in protest, but he pushes on, driven by an unyielding determination. After enduring this grueling 14-day routine, the guy decides to resign from his job. He marches into his boss's office and slams his resignation letter on the desk. He then reflects on a question someone once asked him. Had he suddenly gone crazy? He answers in his head that perhaps it would have been better if he had gone mad, for sanity seems a burden in times like these. His gaze falls upon a dashboard ominously proclaiming, "The door to the end of days is opening soon." The message is clear. Prepare for the end with a recommended quest of strength exercises, cardio, and learning kendo. He thinks the world is ending soon after all. The countdown ominously ticks down from 5 seconds to 0, filling him with adrenaline and dread as the final moments approach. 15 days ago, cell phones across Jonnovu blared with a critical disaster alert warning of monsters near Inwang Mountain, urging immediate evacuation. Panic ensued as people tried to comprehend the chaos. A student, thinking it might be a prank, is startled by another alert about monsters near Sorak Mountain, threatening Seoul. Further notifications reveal monsters appearing in Incheon at Simgok Park and spread fear across Jumyong, Guri, Daegu, Daejeon, and Guro. The escalating alerts cause widespread alarm and confusion. But it's as if not enough. Another notification pops up with an even more chilling title. Monsters have appeared, not a joke. It includes a video by a streamer named Sarkarella, hiding in fear behind a tree. He films a giant figure, his voice trembling as he insists that it has appeared and that there's really a monster. The stream fills with comments, some dismissive, others mocking. The streamer, still hiding, questions his audience, wondering if he should go a little closer since he came all the way there. Laughter erupts in the comments, with some suggesting he play red light, green light with the creature. Another joke is that this is the reason why men die faster. Amid the banter, someone points out that the monster is moving right now. The comment section suddenly fills with panicked warnings that it's behind him. The guy, still skeptical, mutters that they're just messing with him. He insists he was looking at it, and it wasn't moving. But his doubt is shattered as the monster growls from right behind him. A loud shout echoes through the stream, sending a wave of horror through the watching crowd. The man jolts as a scream erupts from his phone, surprising him with its intensity and realism. He furrows his brow, wondering why the video looks so disturbingly real. Walking through the bustling public square, he notices others around him also receiving disaster alert text messages. What on earth is happening today? He mutters to himself, feeling a growing sense of unease. Li Huiyang feels the weight of life's daily struggles. Making a living is already hard enough, and now they're talking about monsters and whatnot. Who believes something like that? He sighs deeply, frustrated by the sheer number of faked videos recently. As he continues down the street, his eyes widen. There, before him, is a goblin with a shackle on its leg, breathing heavily. He feels a chill run down his spine, seeing the monster. This is kind of scary, he thinks. Maybe it's best to run for now. He says aloud that today is the day the math teacher is supposed to come. The monster, sensing his presence, starts growling but then, surprisingly, looks at him with pleading eyes. Feeling a mix of disgust and confusion, he can't help but think, is it asking him to help it? Despite the monster's attempts to act cute and ask for help, it's still too frightening. He reminds himself firmly that he's a human, and that's a monster. But those tear-filled puppy eyes make him hesitate. He wrestles with his thoughts, admitting he isn't someone who can easily show compassion to a monster. Thinking hard and practically, he decides he can't help it, no matter how pitiful it looks. Just as he's about to walk away, the monster reveals a small photograph of its family. It wipes its tears with a handkerchief, silently pleading for help. Later, Huiyang is shocked as he gets engulfed in a golden light. He's holding a small pouch in his hands, with a small golden ball glistening under the light. As he examines it, a system dashboard appears in front of him, displaying the words "Silver Goblin Pill." The description trails off. Once consumed, one will obtain. He recalls helping the goblin, a creature he never thought he'd aid. Yet here he is, holding a gift from it. The pouch in his hands feels unreal, almost like a dream. Curious as he is, he reaches out to the dashboard and wonders what this silver goblin pill is. His finger passes through, prompting him to wonder, is this something like a hologram? He thinks to himself, who would eat something so suspicious? But his contemplation is abruptly interrupted by the voice of a news anchor on the TV. The anchor reports that unknown large buildings have appeared all over the world. The screen shows these ominous towers, and the anchor continues, saying that contact has been lost with the army that went into the tower. The appearance of unknown monsters, these strange towers, could the apocalypse really be starting? The thought sends a chill down his body. He stands up, eyes fixed on the TV, his mind racing with possibilities. Suddenly, a deafening blast shakes the ground, the shockwave rattling the windows. Panic grips him as he stares wide-eyed at the window. Chaos erupts everywhere. People frantically run and stare in shock at the destruction caused by the tower. TV channels broadcast urgent news. The scene in Korea is particularly alarming. A massive tower has appeared out of nowhere. Amidst this turmoil, Hoyoung stands with his eyes fixed on the tower. He clenches his fist, glancing at the status window in front of him, which repeats the same ominous message about the silver goblin pill. Doubt gnaws at him, but he knows he has to act. He swallows the pill, his mind racing with the thought that this might be the only chance to do something as reckless as this. As the pill goes down, a strange sensation washes over his body. His eyeballs dart fiercely, and he notices a status window pop up, announcing that he has obtained Sage's status window. This powerful tool promises to provide the highest rate of survival in this dire situation. A blue light appears before him, and from it, a book materializes, landing in his hands. He opens it, and a blinding flash envelops him. The book merges into another status window titled Guide, giving an alarming declaration that the door to the end of the world is opening soon. With 15 days, 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 52 seconds remaining until doomsday, a window advises him to prepare by engaging in strength exercises. The urgency of the situation presses down on him, but he follows these instructions in the hope of surviving what is to come. Now in the present, he stares at the status window before him, which reads, "The door of the end has opened," and he's amid a forest. He wonders if this might be the end, noting that the scene differs from what he imagined. Glancing back at the sword behind him, the status window labels it Blunt Sword, and he wonders if it really is one. The status window responds by indicating that the game starts now and the tutorial is beginning. Multiple windows come up, showing that the aptitude test has been completed, and based on data analysis, he is assigned the most suitable class, Combat Swordsman. Shocked, he questions what this means. Another window appears, instructing him to open the status window for more details. Overwhelmed by the plethora of information, he finds too many things to read. Examining his profile reveals key details. He is a combat swordsman at level 1, with skills in basic swordsmanship and access to Sage's status window. His stats show HP at full and MP at 10, with 4 other stats outlined, with no remaining points to allocate. Swinging his sword, he reflects on whether being a combat swordsman means things are really starting now. To clear this challenge, he must survive in the forest for 1 hour or find an exit hidden somewhere within, as indicated by another status window. He thinks that if this is the tutorial, it should give time to get used to the game before it starts. A status window catches his eye, stating that Sage's status window will provide the guide with the highest rate of survival in his current situation. Another window for the guide advises using all 60 minutes of the tutorial to kill as many monsters as possible, suggesting the second objective would hinder his growth. He realizes that he can use it here too, guessing that the Sage's status window knew this situation would occur. As he starts moving, he recalls the guide's advice to hunt the monsters and concludes that it is best not to run away from the forest. The tutorial begins, and a rustling in the bushes reveals a small animal-like monster. Seeing a status window labeling it as a one-horned raccoon, he thinks it is cuter than he imagined. The raccoon growls and leaps to attack, but with sharp reflexes and basic swordsmanship, Hoyoung slashes it away. He gains EXP by killing the monster, noting that it was defeated with basic swordsmanship, possibly because the raccoon is a tutorial monster. He calculates that basic swordsmanship consumes 2 MP per use, and with a total of 10 MP, he can utilize it 5 times before exhausting his MP. He needs to preserve his MP while hunting. He continues slicing through raccoons, thinking of basic swordsmanship, and with a final blow, he kills the last one. Multiple status windows appear, showing he has gained experience points, leveled up to 2, recovered HP and MP, and earned points to increase his stats. He now has 2 remaining points. Relieved, he notes the nice timing of his level up, as his mana was about to deplete. But his happiness is interrupted as new status windows replace the old ones. One window explains the weight of knowledge, stating that having the Sage's status window means he will level up slower compared to other players. Shocked, he learns there is a penalty for having the Sage's status window. Frustrated, he grits his teeth, unable to believe the level he gained was taken away. He wonders when he will be able to level up again, cursing the ridiculous handicap. Calling the status window again, he examines his stats. Everything remains the same except for one thing. He still has points. Thinking hard, he concludes that, if he is correct, this isn't a penalty but could be an overpowered bug-like ability. Swinging his sword fiercely, slicing through the raccoons with a ferocity that leaves no room for error, Hoyoung's eyes lock onto the status windows that appear before him. A rush of excitement floods him as they announce that he has gained experience points and has now reached level 2. However, just as quickly as the windows appear, they vanish into thin air, leaving him staring at his stats with a furrowed brow. He has fallen back to level 1. Just as he anticipated, yet he sees that his remaining points are steadily increasing. He thinks to himself, the actuality dawning on him that the more he levels up, the more experience points he will need for the next level. This thought ignites a spark of strategy in his mind. It might be easier to raise his stats directly than to go through the grind of leveling up in the usual way. Lost in his thoughts, he contemplates his next move. He knows he must act wisely. His gaze shifts to his options: stamina, strength, agility, and sensitivity. He narrows down his choices with a determined look in his eyes. Strength and agility, he reasons, would be the best for a combat swordsman, as strength would enable him to deliver more powerful attacks, while agility would enhance his speed and reflexes, making him a formidable opponent. After deliberating, he selects sensitivity as his priority. He boosts his sensitivity stat by 4, as a new status window confirms his progress. Progressing smoothly, he relentlessly slaughters the one-horned raccoons and marvels at how weak they seem as tutorial monsters, given how easily he defeats them with the default stats. Glancing at his status window, he sees the instruction to utilize the entire 60-minute tutorial to kill as many monsters as possible. As he surveys his surroundings, he realizes the real challenge is finding enough raccoons within the time limit. Noticing his sensitivity level at 20, a sense of triumph washes over him. Finding the raccoons has become much easier with his enhanced sensitivity. Feeling his newfound abilities, he's almost giddy with excitement, thinking he can now sense a kind of chai, but his happiness fades as dark energy looms behind him, accompanied by a notification stating he has defeated all monsters and a hidden quest is being activated. A roar pierces the air as a giant monster with a bright red aura emerges. The status window commands him to defeat the level 2 one-horned raccoon alpha. Staring at the beast, dread creeps into his mind. The raccoon alpha tightens its claws and leaps towards him. Instinctively, he jumps back, narrowly avoiding the attack. Panting, he grapples with the realization that it's incredibly fast. This monster is the boss, and it slams into the ground, while Hoyoung struggles to steady his nerves. This creature is unlike the others. The raccoon charges again, but with a determined glare, he swings his sword, slicing through it. Relief floods him as he thinks, it's doable. The status window confirms his victory. He has defeated the boss, cleared the hidden quest, and earned gold. Catching his breath, he gazes at the raccoon alpha's cold body, feeling a swell of pride that he's now level 7. The window reappears, stating he has completed the tutorial. He hadn't expected the hour to stretch so long, but now it's over. But it isn't over yet, as suddenly he finds himself in a different place, surrounded by a crowd of people. Confusion sets in as he thinks about his whereabouts. A speaker crackles to life, welcoming everyone and announcing their successful completion of the tutorial. The crowd listens intently as the voice continues, explaining that they are in the lobby of the tower, specifically the C2567 region. Lee Hoyoung's mind races. He counts 14 men and 11 women. Did they all finish the tutorial too? A woman behind him murmurs about being in a different place again, while a man demands to be sent home. Observing the chaos and people crying for their mothers and insisting it's all a dream, he understands their panic. The entire world changed in a single day. Had he not known the end was near, he'd probably panicked too. But he steels himself, clenching his fist. He must stay calm and survive. A woman's voice breaks through, asking where they are. A mysterious voice responds, "They are in the Tower of the End." The woman looks down and sees a rabbit-like creature, a level 55, Kum. The creature introduces itself as the cutie of the tower, and the lower floor manager, Kum. Disbelief spreads as a man questions if it's a kid in a rabbit suit, while another wonders if it brought them here. Kum observes their reactions, thinking this is normal. Someone asks what they're supposed to do if this is really the end of the world. The manager, with a sinister chuckle, reveals that all 22 players will now participate in a game with their lives at stake. Hearing it, the crowd is thrown into chaos, panicking. Hoyoung, fighting to maintain composure, asks if they can return to their normal lives upon reaching the tower's top. Kum, with a mischievous wink, admits it doesn't know. Frustrated, Hoyoung presses on, questioning the point of climbing the tower. Kum, turning its back, cryptically states that some things don't need meaning and warns that only death awaits those who don't climb. A hush falls over the crowd. Kum mentions that many people have already perished in the tutorial. Shock hits Hoyoung hard as he hadn't considered this. It was just the tutorial, but many likely couldn't survive it. Faces flash before his eyes as he reminds them, and despair grips him. Kum asks if anyone is willing to kill it, promising a special reward. Hoyoung's mind races. Is this a trap? Despite Kum's harmless appearance, it's level 55. As he decides to stand back and watch for now, a status window advises him to help Kum get home. Conflicted, he ponders whether attacking the rabbit is wise. In the meantime, a man steps forward, volunteering to kill Kum, saying if it wants to die so badly, then he should kill it. Hearing him, Hoyoung gets upset that he was too late. The man prepares for the attack, vowing to make it painful. He charges at the rabbit, but is met with a rather powerful punch to the face, sending him flying. The crowd is stunned at the sudden transformation of Kum and the tragic end of the man. Kum sarcastically apologizes for counterattacking. Panic spreads, with people screaming and fleeing, shouting about the man's death. Hoyoung, rooted in place, is consumed with fear. It could have been him. Kum, reverting to its original form, tries to reassure everyone, laughing off the incident as a mistake. The status window reappears, urging Hoyoung to help the rabbit get home. The manager asks for more volunteers. Doubt gnaws at Hoyoung, reflecting if the guide deceived him. Kum, with a sly smile, asks if anyone wants to help it get an early mark. The room falls into an eerie silence as everyone tries to process what just happened. Hoyoung, his mind racing, begins to suspect that the guide lied and wonders, why would it deceive him? Suddenly, his eyes lock onto Sage's status window that has been triggered. Intrigued, he examines the options. Sage's Eye, enabling him to view others' status windows, and Guide, summoning assistance at critical moments. However, choosing either will slow down his leveling compared to other players. He ponders the significance of the Sage's Eye he just discovered. As he glances at Kum while choosing the Sage's Eye, a grin spreads across his face, thinking he finally understands the situation. Kum, acting cute and innocent, says it wants to go home. Hoyoung raises his hand, volunteering to help. A surge of determination runs through him as he thinks the guide wasn't lying after all. Kum loudly calls out Hoyoung's name and level, prompting him to confidently declare that his level isn't important when he's doing a good deed. Kum, with a fierce look, agrees and urges him to send it home quickly. A woman from earlier interrupts, reminding Hoyoung of the danger they just witnessed. Others join in, urging him not to do anything reckless. But he, with steely resolve, assures them it's okay, and he has a plan, leaving the woman speechless and the crowd uncertain. Facing Kum, he confidently declares they'll witness something exciting, gripping his sword tightly. The air gets thick with anticipation. Kum, now excited and eager, transforms and readies a punch. Hoyoung stands still, his eyes locked on the rabbit's fist approaching with deadly speed. He remembers the earlier announcement, noting there should be 25 people, but Kum mentioned only 24. He suspects the omission of the 55th level monster was deliberate, a psychological tactic to induce fear. As the punch nears, the crowd holds its breath. In a split second, Hoyoung avoids the punch and counterattacks, revealing with Sage's Eye that there are only 24 people here to begin with. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A status window pops up in front of the dead man's body, revealing a human hologram created by Kum. He compliments Hoyoung, showing its profile as everything 0, level 55, noting it's not its true form, just a hologram that disappears when damaged. The revelation stuns everyone. Kum then vanishes, leaving behind a small blue-green ball tagged stat.1 and a parting message. For those who have courage, may the odds be with them. The crowd buzzes with confusion and curiosity. A hologram? So it was fake? They murmur. A man approaches Hoyoung, asking how he knew. He explains that he saw blood pass through Che Yisol. Her face and clothes should be covered in blood due to proximity. Yisol looks at herself, her eyes widening in realization. He concludes, saying he thought it was all a show and thinks it's better to make up an excuse. Suddenly, a red-haired man steps forward, his expression smug. He claims it's a waste for Hoyeon to have the ball, insisting he just got lucky. Kim Seon, a level 4 player, asserts he would have stepped up if he had noticed. Hoyeon questions the waste comment, to which Seon responds with arrogance, saying that being still level 1 means he's either weak or a coward who ran away. He suggests Hoyeon yield the ball for the sake of mankind. Gripping the ball tightly, Hoyeon feels a surge of defiance. He thinks about Seon's arrogance, breaks the ball, and declares that yielding isn't his hobby, earning himself a stat point and leaving Seon furious. With anger, he accuses Hoyeon of greed and trying to save face. Trying to keep calm, he thinks from experience that the wisest thing to do is to avoid people like him. Yet he wonders how long he can maintain this approach. An announcement interrupts them, stating that their starting gold will be distributed. It explains that gold can be used in the shop, with additional gold based on monsters hunted in the tutorial. Kim Seong sneers at Hoyeon, telling him to consider himself lucky. The announcement continues, revealing the highest starting gold is 7,400. Shockwaves of astonishment ripple through the crowd. Seon curses, receiving only 1,300 gold, while level 4 Kim Junsong, receiving 1,500, marvels at the top player. Hoyeon, holding 7,400 gold, recalls the grueling effort it took to kill raccoons, recognizing himself as the top player, but keeping it a secret to avoid drawing more jealousy. A window pops up, showing the shop opening. Hoyeon contemplates the 3 main uses for gold: buying items, leveling up skills, or increasing stats. He methodically spends gold to raise his strength, stamina, and agility, leaving all stats at 20 with 4,600 gold remaining. Nearby, Kim Seong shouts about the expense of leveling up skills draw Hoyeon's attention. He decides to level up basic swordsmanship with 1,500 gold and purchases new clothes, replacing his worn gym uniform. He then hears someone calling his name and turns to see level 3 Yisol asking for advice. He's puzzled as to why she seeks advice from a level 1 player. She smiles warmly, expressing admiration for his bravery. He peeks at her profile, noting her stats in gold and finding her as a class healer, with level 1 healing hand skill. To check her honesty, he asks how much gold she has. She honestly replies 800. Curious, he asks if she enjoys exercising. She admits she doesn't mind walking, prompting him to guess that her stamina stat is probably low. He suggests she invest in stamina, and she gratefully agrees, thanking him for his advice. In the meantime, an announcement declares the first floor mission will commence soon, instructing them to form 3-man parties and warning that incomplete parties will be filled randomly. Panic spreads through the crowd. Lee Hoyeon thinks he anticipated group missions but is surprised at the early timing. Kim Junsong suggests they reveal their levels for better team formation, and the players start doing so to form the parties of their choice. Yizil requests Hoyeon to team up, and he agrees, reasoning that a healer's offer is valuable. However, other players avoid his party, citing excuses. Despite having a healer, a level 1 combat swordsman isn't appealing. Yisol, looking worried, asks what they should do. Hoyeon sees level 4 players comfortably settled in their parties and glances at the remaining players. The announcement suddenly states that time is up and incomplete parties will be filled randomly. As the mission commences, they are transported to a dense forest, and Hoyeon and Misol find themselves with Seon, who curses his bad luck loudly. Facing Seon's glare, Hoyeon wonders if cooperation is possible. Determined to survive, he resolves that he must make it work, no matter the challenge, as he's determined to survive. The status window pops up, displaying the mission to annihilate the kobold tribe within a 12-hour time limit. From their vantage point behind the trees, the 3 of them look down at the tribe's area. Seong, with a confident smirk, informs Hoyeon that he'll handle wiping out the tribe and orders him not to get in his way. Hoyeon reminds him that it's a team mission, trying to keep the peace. This infuriates Seong, who calls Hoyeon a loser and accuses him of riding on his coattails, questioning why he has so much to say. Hoyeon, feeling the tension, sighs and decides it's best to listen for now. As they start walking, Seong continues to berate him, mentioning that he'll only get his act together when someone is about to kill him. Hoyeon sarcastically thanks him for his concern, his patience wearing thin. Meanwhile, Yisul silently follows them, her face filled with concern, wondering if this party will be all right. With so many bugs lurking around, Seong shouts in anger and wonders why there are so many. Looking at his attitude, Hwoyoung thinks they really need to complete this mission without any trouble. Glancing around, he agrees that there are indeed a lot of bugs, since they are in the mountains. He notices some purple fruits on the trees but gets interrupted by Yisul, who asks him if the kobold monster must be strong. He answers that there is a chance it is stronger than a one-horned raccoon, but since they are still level 1, it should be manageable. He points out that they should still be on guard. After all, this is the Tower of the End. Listening to his thoughts, she nods in understanding. As they walk, a monstrous creature with big claws, a muscular body, and powerful legs appears in front of them. Hwoyoung stares at the giant level 5 kobold, his heart pounding with panic as he compares it to the one-horned raccoons they've encountered before. It growls, prompting them to hide. Yisul anxiously asks him what they should do, pointing out the monster's obvious strength. He agrees and suggests they should check their surroundings for more kobolds. Seong steps forward confidently, accusing them of hiding like cowards. They watch in shock as he leaps to fight the kobold, landing on top of it and punching it, declaring it to be only at level 1. Both stare in disbelief as Seong, grinning like a maniac, continues to attack kobold. It skulls at Seong, but he continues to punch, taunting it to hold out against his attacks. Hwoyoung is astonished by Seong's boldness and stubbornness. Yisul also joins the fight, offering her healing powers to assist him. Hwoyoung, relieved, notes that there are no other kobolds around. Observing Seong fighting, he checks his strength at 24 and kobold's HP at 92%, which is decreasing. He acknowledges that Seong is living up to his level. With Yisul's help, he might even defeat kobold alone. However, he wonders why the damage dealt is so low compared to Seong's strength, considering if there is another weakness. Suddenly, a status window appears, relaying the guide, explaining that kobolds are passive monsters and will not attack unless provoked. Realizing this, he thinks that Seong has unnecessarily stirred up trouble. He decides to stay positive, dismissing his thoughts, and concludes that they need to capture a few kobolds for research purposes anyway. As he slides down the status window, his eyes widen in surprise at what he sees. Seong, with his level 1 stone fist, relentlessly attacks the kobold, shouting for it to die. However, the kobold dodges, and his fist hits a tree, which breaks and falls on another kobold. The second kobold, at level 6, glares at him as its head hits the tree. Momentarily scared, Seong sees both kobolds rushing towards him. He curses under his breath, thinking he's in big trouble and wondering why Hwoyoung isn't helping. Looking for him, he finds no one where Hwoyoung was hiding and calls him a loser, wondering if he ran away. The kobolds roar, ready to attack Seong, but Yisul attacks one of them from behind, warning him of the danger, but she trips over a rock, falling and hitting her head. Trying to regain her composure, she finds a kobold poised to strike her. Suddenly, a sword appears, piercing a fruit, and Hwoyoung, with his level 1 basic swordsmanship, steps in. The fruit's pulp falls on kobold's body, paralyzing and killing it with a loud groan. A status window pops up, indicating he has eliminated the level 6 kobold. Seong calls him a loser, while Yisul looks at him with teary eyes, relieved. After killing the kobold, Hwoyoung recalls seeing bugs eating all the other fruits but avoiding them, sensing something was off. According to the guide's information, he had summoned a poison apple from his inventory. The guide had told him that kobolds are vulnerable to poison and advised him to gather poison from the mountains. Now holding the poison apple, he smiles, thinking it's the key to the level 1 mission. Seong, gritting his teeth while fighting a level 5 kobold, watches as Hwoyoung helps Yisul to her feet, asking if she's okay. She thanks him and he remarks that he didn't expect another kobold to be drawn in by the aggro, knowing that it would have been dangerous if he had been a bit late. She acknowledges this, thanking him for his timely help, and he replies that he's relieved. When she asks where he went, he tries to answer but is interrupted by Seong, who calls him a loser. He accuses Hwoyoung of being a free rider, hiding when it was dangerous, only to swoop in and steal the final hit. He curses, calling him an unethical bastard, noting how he gulped down the stat points earlier. Hwoyoung looks at him speechlessly, wondering what he's ranting about, as Seong walks away, grumbling about being the bigger person since his level is higher. Hoyoung thinks he's a lunatic. He sighs, realizing that Seong's inability to read the room will make things even harder. As the sun sets, they arrive at the kobold tribe. Seong, a national hero in the punching scene, fights fiercely, sure that these lowly monsters can never stop him. He punches the kobolds furiously, eliminating them one after another. Meanwhile, Yizul and Hoyoung also take down kobolds, though their efforts seem insignificant compared to Seong's furious assault. Watching them, he curses inwardly, wondering how they are doing it so easily. Suddenly, a kobold lands a punch on him, and more surround and beat him. Hurt and in pain, he thinks desperately for someone to save him. The beating stops abruptly as the kobolds burst apart, revealing Hoyoung standing before him with his sword. Smiling, he tells Seong that he took over the fight in his place for a bit and asks how the ride was. Seong, with tears in his eyes, shouts out to him as Big Brother. Both Hoyoung and Yisul are shocked by his sudden change in attitude. At that moment, a status window pops up, indicating that they have cleared the mission. The three of them return to the lobby, the weight of their experiences hanging heavily in the air. Seong, with an embarrassed look, recalls what he has done. He remembers prostrating himself before Hoyoung, telling him he would serve him, and even calling some level 2 newbie sir. As the trio levels up, Yizul congratulates Hoyoung, who thanks her with a humble smile. Seong, trying to suppress his anger, thinks the only one he wants to serve is his boss. He grits his teeth at the thought that it's over for him if this gets out, but as a man he cannot go back on his words. Glancing at him, Hoyoung wonders if he needs to go to the toilet or something, while Yizul guesses that nobody's here yet and asks if they are the first ones. Hoyoung replies that it looks like they cleared faster than others because they luckily managed to find the kobold's weakness. Seong, processing this, thinks they really got first place. Yizul shouts that it wasn't just luck. It was all thanks to Hoyoung's observational skills, as she could have never thought of using poison. Hoyoung laughs off her compliment, saying if it weren't for her support, it would have been much harder, and secretly feels like a fraud. In the meantime, other parties also start arriving, and Hoyoung notices Jun Song, and so Junho's party. He thinks they must have found the poisonous apples too, and he wonders if the other parties will make it back fine. Their attention gets diverted when someone shouts that another party has come back, but as they look, only 2 members are seen, saying they made it. Yisul asks them about the third person, and the girl starts crying, saying it's just the 2 of them. An announcement grabs their attention, stating that the first level mission has been completed by all parties, and repeating the same words again and again. Yisul shouts for them to wait because someone hasn't come back yet, but the notification continues, saying that a total of 6 parties have returned alive and 8 players have failed to return. Hoyoung considers he expected it to be hard for everyone to make it back alive. He imagines endless skulls around him, wondering how many more will die before they make it to the top. The announcement states they are beginning calculations for the level 1 mission with the parties who made it back alive, and the party that cleared the first level first will receive 1,000 gold each. Looking at their status windows, Seong and Yisul happily say they were the first ones. Hoyoung looks at his profile, thinking he got 2,000 gold for both bonuses, which is a bit lacking compared to the tutorial, but gold is a kind of insurance for his future survival, and he needs to save as much as he can. He then hears someone asking which party got first. Seeing people staring at him, he realizes he'll have to reveal it this time, as the party that returned second already knows. He raises his hand and is about to tell them when Seong proudly conveys it was them, calling everyone else weaklings. Hoyoung looks at him, seeing him all proud and bragging that it was an obvious result, so don't be too sad. A man tries to confirm if his party was first. Seong, with a challenging look, asks him what's with that reaction. Is he mad that they got first? The man assures him that's not what he meant. Hoyoung glances at Seong and guesses he forgot about the fact that he was beaten up by those kobolds, but that lessens the tension a bit. But his thoughts get interrupted by crowd comments, with a woman mocking him, saying that he got first place, but his level is only 2. A man adds that he got 2,000 gold from doing nothing. Another woman says he got scared, and a man asks if he doesn't feel bad at all. Hearing their bad-mouthing, he thinks he guesses he wasn't right about the tension getting any less. Yisul tries to take his side, but gets stopped by him as he tells her it's alright, they're not going to listen anyway. She insists, but Hoyoung states he'll have to show them. Junsong tells everyone to calm down, saying they need to focus on their survival. His profile shows he is level 8 class archer, one of the highest level players in the region. Level 8, so Junho agrees with him, adding they should cheer up and must keep pushing on for the sake of the people who passed away. His profile also shows up, stating that he is a combat swordsman and one of the highest level players in the region. Then more shouts come from the crowd, stating they shouldn't be floundering and need to get it together. They can do this. Amid the shouting, the blue flame in the torch fades and is replaced by a bright red flame, accompanied by a warning announcement. People begin to panic, asking what happened and why it changed color. The notification reveals that the survival rate for the first level of Region C2567 is below average and a penalty mission will be implemented. When someone asked about the penalty mission, the announcement explains that a death mission will begin soon, requiring them to choose a candidate. The player with the most votes will undertake the death mission. With a 5-minute timer set, panic spreads among them. A woman asks if they are going to die if they get picked for this. It is revealed that if they do not choose anyone, they'll automatically vote for themselves. At that moment, people realize that being voted here means the end for them. The clock starts ticking, and death weighs on their minds. As time passes, they gaze at each other, realizing they must choose someone. In this critical moment, Yisel shouts that if everyone votes for themselves, no one will have to do the death mission. Someone agrees with her, but Jacob presses that it might be possible. They all have to do it. Yisel gets speechless at his point, and someone shouts that it isn't the time to be arguing as the clock is still ticking. With over 1 minute remaining, Junho's votes for Hoyong. Yisel calls him in pity, and someone asks if this is too cruel. Another one shouts that no one said that it's not anonymous. Junho apologizes to him, mentioning they do need to choose someone. Hoyong, with a forced smile, says he did expect it given the atmosphere, but he's a bit taken aback as he doesn't want to die after all. Yisel tries to convince them that it's not too late if everyone votes for themselves, and Hoyong votes for Junho. However, Hoyong cuts her off, saying it won't work. He explains that Jaetol had a point. They don't know if that strategy will be effective, and the trust is already broken. As voting continues, the names keep appearing on Hoyong's name tag as people decide on who to rule out. Seeing the names on his head increasing one by one, he knows that the biggest reason is that he's low level. They have lost the notion in society that the strong should protect the weak. Yisel shouts that they're too cruel. How can they do this to someone? A man shouts back, asking what they are supposed to do. He's going to die if he doesn't vote, so he hasn't done anything wrong. Another woman adds that she's sure he would have died anyway, given his level, and that's how masks fell, and people revealed their true selves. With only 1 second remaining, Seong also votes for Hoyong, mockingly expressing sorry to him. It was a cruel reminder that the world of the end really is here. The window declares that all votes have been cast and the portal to the death mission is opening. As the portal opens, everyone looks on, questioning if this is real. Yisel, with tears in her eyes and her mouth covered, calls for Hoyong. Seong laughs, realizing that with Hoyong gone, his problem is solved, and calls himself a genius. Hoyong considers himself as the sacrificial lamb with the altar set up, and with faces of guilt and relief behind him, he has no choice but to climb the Calvary. However, at the top isn't death, but a delightful treat. He reads the information provided by the guide, which states that participating in the death mission is recommended. He has a high chance of clearing it, and a satisfactory reward awaits him. With a determined smile, he walks into the portal. As the candidates wait anxiously, someone approaches Seong and Yisel to check on them. It's Junsong, who remarks that even though their time together was brief, they've been companions looking out for each other, and it's sad to part ways like this. Seong, with a hint of bitterness, responds that it's not sad. People get what they deserve. Puzzled, Junsong questions what he means by that. Seong retorts that it's obvious if they look at Hoyong's level. All he did was try to benefit from him while he carried the group. With teary eyes, Yisel asks Seong what he's trying to say, reminding him that it was Hoyong's abilities that got them through the mission. He dismisses Hoyong's abilities, saying he just got lucky with his scheming and took the final blow when the enemy was already down. Incredulous, Yisel asks if he's sure Hoyong didn't save him from almost dying. He falls silent, anger building inside him. Recalling Hoyong killing the kobolds earlier, he starts to doubt wondering if he has a skill that changes the level. He thinks Huiyong wouldn't have made it back alive, right? Junsong, trying to calm the tension, says he hopes Huiyong is as good as Yisol makes him out to be because that way he'll at least have a slight chance of making it back. She recalls Huiyong's confident promise to show his abilities. She wipes her tears and firmly says she believes he will return safely. She's sure of it. Junsong smiles, agreeing with her and expressing his belief that Huiyong will come back. Meanwhile, standing in the eerie kobold tribe with birds flying around, Huiyong notices the familiar monsters from before. The atmosphere feels creepy, but glancing at the status window of the guide, he feels reassured. Admitting he was considering voting for himself if things went south, he now feels things are going his way. Recalling Seong's face, he clenches his fist, determined to deliver the final blow, though it was already decided. Suddenly, a status window announces the return of the kobold tribe's hunting group, and he sees the glaring kobolds arriving. The notification alerts him that the death mission will begin, instructing him to kill the chieftain and the enraged hunting group. The level 12 kobold chieftain growls menacingly, and they charge at Huiyong. Facing a boss monster on a death mission, he feels a surge of adrenaline. The guide's status window indicates the kobold chieftain is the dungeon's boss and, like other kobolds, is weak to poison. He drips poison apple pulp on his sword, considering that a level 12 boss monster along with others is nearly an impossible opponent for anyone else. The kobold chieftain roars and swings its stick at him, but Huiyong dodges, letting it hit the ground. He strikes the kobolds with his level 2 basic swordsmanship, sure that this time will be different, and kills them all. With a sigh of relief, he thinks only the chieftain remains and shouts at the boss monster, ready for the final showdown. He swings his sword at the chieftain, who deftly avoids it, pulling back to minimize the impact. Impressed by the monster's skill, he acknowledges it as a true death mission boss, but the chieftain turns and starts running, leaving him stunned. He chases after it, frustrated, wondering how it can call itself a boss monster. As he attacks from behind, the chieftain's HP decreases. He believes that the fight will soon be over, wondering if this stage was meant to be easily cleared. Launching his attack, he's suddenly surprised when his sword doesn't penetrate the chieftain's body. He notices a bright red full moon in the sky, and the chieftain's eyes flashing red. It attacks, injuring Huiyong's right shoulder and causing blood to spill out. Back at base, Seong comments that they can't do anything about someone who's already dead, and declares that he will carry the team for the rest of the floors. Yisol prays for him, prompting Seong to ask if they understand what death is, criticizing her for praying for someone already dead. She retorts that even in these dire times, he should have some conscience. Seong scoffs, questioning if he said something wrong. A voice interrupts their bickering, pointing out the portal. They all look and see Huiyong returning as an announcement declares that the player who participated in the death mission has returned alive. He smiles and confirms, "I'm back." As he returns safe and sound, he recalls the guide's warning about the chieftain's increased abilities when its eyes turn red. After getting injured, he notices its red eyes. Moving backward with his HP decreasing, he leans against a tree, trying to stop the bleeding. Seeing the kobold chieftain charging at him with its HP also low, he realizes he just needs one good hit. As the chieftain rushes to attack, Huiyong dodges, causing its stick to punch a hole through the tree. He realizes that while a sword may not cut through a wall, a nail can pierce it. Focusing his weight and the chieftain's momentum on one point, he stabs it with his sword, hoping it worked. A status window confirms that stabbing has been added to his level 2 basic swordsmanship. He has cleared the death mission. Back at the tower, Yisol runs toward Huiyong with open arms, shouting that she knew he would make it back. Just as she is about to hug him, she is suddenly thrown back. Regaining her composure, she sees Seong hugging Huiyong tightly, declaring he had faith Huiyong would return, and calling him Big Brother. Seong laughs heartily, declaring that a lowly death mission could never stop his big brother, the strongest in the universe. Huiyong clenches his fist, holding himself back, wishing he could just beat the crap out of Seong. Byeonchul interrupts their reunion, raising an eyebrow as he asks if Huiyong really cleared the death mission. He adds that he's glad Huiyong is okay, but if he had cleared the mission, he should have gained a lot of experience points. Yet his level hasn't changed. Other candidates murmur among themselves, noting that he is still level 2, and wondering if it's like the rabbit mod, implying it might be nothing. Hearing their words, Hoyoung reflects that he thought he had grown accustomed to it, but the world still insists on keeping the weak in their place. He recalls the time when he was a child and received his academic assessment result. He remembers people whispering behind his back, with a girl saying he topped the midterm and a boy accusing him of cheating, questioning how a pathetic orphan could get top marks without going to an academy. He thinks they can't allow a worm to wriggle about, so they want to step on it and crush it. Even after so many years, he's standing here again, surrounded by a mob mocking him. Someone suggests Hoyoung might have stayed hidden somewhere, biding his time before coming out, like in the tutorial. Another agrees, saying it makes sense because, at his level, he must have been hidden in a pit somewhere. Hoyoung grips his fist tightly, thinking he already knows prejudiced people don't change their perspectives easily. But right now, what he needs to do is... Someone interrupts, telling the others not to run their mouths so thoughtlessly. It's Yisel, her voice firm, as she asks why they keep doubting him. She points out that he already proved he survived the death mission. Hoyoung looks at her, pondering that she knows nothing. Seon also steps forward, agreeing with her and calling Yisel Big Sis. He shouts that not only did they fail to hold a party to commemorate the glorious return of his big bro, but they even dared to ruin the mood. They've lost their minds, haven't they? Hoyoung looks at him, thinking he sounds the craziest one, but smiles, feeling somewhat reassured. He knows that he needs everyone to survive in the tower, and if he wants that, he has to show them something convincing. Hoyoung gets their attention with a sword named Indomitable Sword, which has a rare rank and an attack power of plus 15%. Byung-chul, with wide eyes, comments that is basically a cheat key. A woman looks at her sword, noting that no information pops up for her old, long sword. Junsan tells Hoyoung he's impressed he kept the poison apple, noting that, as Yisel said, he's truly extraordinary. She feels glad for him, and he modestly says he was just lucky. Junsan adds that such a valuable item is more crucial for their survival than gaining a few experience points. Hoyoung, his demeanor shifting, points out their survival and remarks that they seem to have forgotten how they nearly drove him to his death. A heavy silence falls as they all become at a loss for words. Junho steps forward and admits that Hoyoung is right. With his head down in shame, he confesses he justified it by thinking it couldn't be helped, but realizes it was pure selfishness. He continues that they knew voting for Hoyoung, the one with the lowest level, was like silently targeting him, throwing him into a deadly situation to save themselves. He bows in front of Hoyoung, apologizing with tears streaming down his face, saying he's truly glad he came back alive. Hoyoung and the others look at him in silence. A woman with a carefree attitude asks why he goes that far, noting someone had to go anyway, and Hoyoung even came back with a rare item, so it's all good, isn't it? Junho shouts at her, asking how she could think that, addressing her as So Yunjin, and asking if she feels the slightest bit of guilt. Yunjin counters that it's not for him to say when he voted for Hoyoung before anyone else. Hoyoung stops Junho from saying more, explaining that the reason he brought it up wasn't to reprimand them but to stop it from happening again. He points out that they must have already caught on during the death mission voting, but the tower is trying to divide them. It's provoking distress, causing conflicts, and probably enjoying sending them on a path to ruin. He believes his return from the death mission is an opportunity because it proves their actions can defy the tower's intentions. Junsong asks him if he has a plan for the future. He replies that he'll search for ways for the most people to survive and will keep climbing the tower. They'll climb higher and higher, and when they reach the end someday, they'll be able to get their lives back, won't they? The candidates all concur with him. Yisel shouts that to do that, everyone here will have to join hands. Hoyoung agrees with her. Junho, with teary eyes and a smiling face, thinks Hoyoung is a generous man, and they shouldn't have judged him by something trivial like his level. They then hear a voice saying how unfortunate it is, and Kumkum enters, announcing that the next mission is a survival game. Looking at it, someone asks why it's here again. Another asks if it's giving them stat points this time too. Hoyoung, feeling chill, asks what a survival mission means. Kumkum laughs, calling him quick and explaining that the mission for level 2 involves a battle royal among the 15 players present. Everyone looks in pure shock. He winks, adding that since it's a lower level, it's just a mild taste for them all, so cheer up. He explains the rules. There will be 16 players and 16 doppelgangers, making a total of 32 people. To clear the mission, they must kill the doppelgangers, who will have the same stats and memories as the players, making it challenging. The most important rule is that there's no reward for killing a doppelgangers, but if a player kills another player, they can obtain stat points and gold. In other words, this mission could be an opportunity for them. People start shouting, saying he's basically telling them to kill each other. Kum twists its finger, adding that every 30 minutes without a kill will result in everyone being summoned to the lobby to face a huge disaster. A purple light appears, and people panic, shouting what it is. Looking at a claw coming out of the lightning, someone points it out. Hoyang's legs freeze as he looks at the giant monster at an unknown level. Juno shouts for him to get out of the way, but Hoyang thinks Kum expects them to fight that. A thunderous explosion erupts, throwing everyone to the ground. Li Hoyang gazes at the colossal monster towering before him, thinking that this is truly a disaster. A man, trembling, asks if this nightmare is real, wondering how they are supposed to fight it when they barely made it past the first floor. A woman, her face pale with fear, pleads desperately for help, as she doesn't want to die. Observing the chaos, Li Hoyang realizes that panic has overtaken everyone. The monster lets out a deafening roar, its massive fist poised to strike a nearby man. Li Hoyang quickly intervenes, helping the man evade the attack. Grateful, the man thanks him, but Li Hoyang, still bewildered, wonders when the second floor's mission hasn't even started yet. So what is this creature doing here? Kum, with a hint of sarcasm, comments on how terrifying the monster is. Reflecting on Kum's earlier words, Li Hoyang recalls the warning that if no kill occurs every 30 minutes, everyone would be immediately summoned to the lobby to face a huge disaster. He speculates that they might be staging this spectacle to make them take the mission seriously. And if that's the case, then this is merely a preview of the trials ahead, and the monster isn't truly trying to harm them. Kim Jun-song and Kim Seong fight the monster with all their might, but it remains unfazed. Kim Jun-song, frustrated, exclaims that nothing is happening no matter how many arrows he fires, while Kim Seong curses in exasperation. Watching their futile efforts, Li Hoyang grits his teeth, thinking that this might not be just for show, and starts to wonder if the monster is genuinely trying to kill them. But his attention is drawn to Chae-yesil, who, while healing the injured, declares she has no more mana left. Seeing the injured, Li Hoyang acknowledges that although no one has died yet, that won't remain the case for long. A man shouts a warning as the monster prepares for another attack. Li Hoyang commands everyone to stand back, understanding that there's no time for hesitation. He charges forward, his mind racing nonstop. Seo Chino shouts at him to get away, but Li Hoyang, lost in determination, knows that if he can't stop the monster, everyone will die. With resolute focus, he considers the synergy between the indomitable sword and the stab, charging at the monster with level 8 basic swordsmanship. He hopes that his attack might have an effect. Suddenly, the monster dissipates into the wind, leaving everyone staring in stunned silence. Li Hoyang, equally shocked, processes the unexpected turn of events. The stunned silence breaks as everyone starts cheering and chanting his name. Li Hoyang, still holding the sword, marvels at its power, wondering if it's truly that strong. He feels that this experience is unlike anything he has ever encountered. Then he notices a status window indicating that he will be in an exhausted state for 3 minutes due to overexertion. He exclaims in disbelief and collapses, thinking he is doomed as his name echoes around him. Moments later, Li Hoyang regains consciousness to find people calling his name. The status window shows that his exhausted state has been lifted. As he pants, he hears Chae-yesil and Kim Jun-song expressing concern, while Seo Chino, with eyes gleaming, admires his humility despite his strength, even finding his fainting at the last moment perfect. Struggling to his feet, Li Hoyang, feeling lightheaded, asks what happened to the huge disaster. Seo Chino begins to explain, but Kum interjects, revealing that the monster was sent back and that this was just a prelude to make them serious about the mission. Li Hoyang, with a stunning expression, realizes it was indeed just a test. Kum adds that it wasn't very exciting because everyone was too friendly, despite nearly dying. It also brings their attention to the rule that a kill must happen every 30 minutes, which implies that the people beside them might be their killers. A chilling silence envelops the crowd. Kum declares its message delivered and disappears. Gritting his teeth, Li Hoyang wonders if there's no way to counter this situation. The blue light appears again, and Siu Chino grimly states that if they can't identify the fakes, they will have to kill each other. Lee Jae-kyul urges them to find a solution quickly. Someone suggests marking everyone since the fakes share their memories. Another man questions about what they should do next. Lee Hoyan draws their attention as he says he has an idea. Chae Yiziel, intrigued, asks what he has in mind. Lee Hoyan proposes that during the mission, only he will act while everyone else gathers at the highest place on the second floor. And if anyone else takes action, they should be considered a fake and dealt with accordingly. A bulky figure, level 9 On Sechang, a soldier and former Special Forces member, questions the plan. A woman skeptical of Li Huayang's low level asks why they should follow his plan. Li Huayang reminds them of Kumkum's warning that there is no reward for killing a fake, but a player who kills another player gains stat points and gold. He emphasizes that the tower wants them to kill each other, not the fakes, and he refuses to play by the tower's rules any longer, believing this is the best solution. Kim Jun-song agrees, suggesting they could minimize harm in this way. He then asks Li Huayang if he can identify the fakes. Li Huayang grins confidently while thinking that, of course, he does. In the forest, the status window indicates the second floor's mission has begun, and they must kill at least one person within 30 minutes. There are 16 players and 16 fakes. Kim Seon, annoyed by the risky plan, hides behind a tree. A voice calls out, and noting his size makes him easy to spot. Relieved, Kim Seon comes out after recognizing Li Huayang and expresses his relief as he thought his big brother was a fake. But with a swift slash, Li Huayang splits Kim Seon's body in two, ending his life in an instant. As they enter the forest, Li Huayang insists on handling the killing himself. A status window announces the start of the second floor mission. Players must kill at least one person within 30 minutes. With 16 players and 16 fakes, Huayang's eyes are locked on the guide status window. It reveals that the first player to reach a certain sensitivity level will receive the impeccable senses skill, an ability crucial for identifying fakes. Huayang feels a mix of pride and anxiety as his earlier boast about distinguishing fakes seems to come true with this skill. However, as he watches his stats decline, he wonders how many points he needs to invest. Suddenly, another status window congratulates him for being the first to achieve a sensitivity stat of 50, awarding him the impeccable senses skill. This ability significantly enhances his senses, allowing him to gather detailed information about anyone within a certain radius. Li Huayang looks at his hand, now glowing with a blue aura, and marvels at the newfound clarity in his perception, as if the world has gained a sharper filter. He then hears mumbling nearby. Recognizing the voice, Huayang realizes it is Kim Seon, grumbling about Huayang's suggestion to gather at the top without taking action, calling it reckless and lamenting the climb. Li Huayang is impressed by his acute hearing as he spots Seong 500 meters away. However, a foul stench soon hits him, revealing that the figure is not Seong but a fake. The status window confirms that a fake has been killed, updating the count to 16 players and 15 fakes, with the mission still requiring a kill within 30 minutes. Li Huayang feels a pang of guilt as the fake had perfectly mimicked Kim Seon until its death. He hopes the others are following his plan, recalling their initial agreement, bolstered by Kim Jun-song's support, though real-time events remain unpredictable. Li Huayang finishes off another fake, only to realize with growing horror that another player has died, bringing the count to 14 players and 14 fakes. He frantically searches for the killer, his heart racing as he follows sounds that lead him to the fake of level 5 Go Youngwoo, who has just murdered a player. He kills it and the status window updates to 14 players and 13 fakes. Although he had suspected this fake, he feels a surge of relief for stopping it before more damage is done. As he mourns the loss of level 4 Li Bianchiol, he notices that the wound isn't consistent with Go Youngwoo's weapon but is an arrow wound. He looks around and Kim Jun-song, with a bow ready to attack, catches his eye. He immediately hides behind a tree, realizing there might be another culprit. When Kim Jun-song shouts, asking who's there, Li Huayang sees the arrow wound on Jun-song's shoulder and wonders if it was self-inflicted by his fake. Approaching cautiously, he tries to explain, but Jun-song, still suspicious, maintains his distance. Li Huayang points to the dead fake, convincing Jun-song of his identity. Kim Jun-song warns Huayang about his own fake before collapsing, and Huayang rushes to help him. After a while, Li Huayang helps Kim Jun-song to walk, and they move forward together. Overcome with guilt, Jun-song apologizes to Huayang expressing regret that if he hadn't escaped, others might still be alive and that he has only caused trouble. The horrifying thought of a malevolent fake bearing his likeness and causing chaos weighs heavily on him. Li Huiyang reassures him, insisting that he is not to blame as they are all victims of the tower's cruel trials, and their sole focus must be on escaping alive. Suddenly, Li Huiyang's senses sharpen as he sees Che Yiziel and Xiao Chuno rushing towards them, calling his name. Che Yiziel, visibly relieved, announces that they are safe and shares her worry after hearing about the deaths of other players. Xiao Chuno, equally distressed, expresses disbelief at the rapid loss of 2 players. Cha Yiziel quickly examines Kim Junsong's injuries and offers to heal him. However, Li Huiyang interjects, urging Kim Junsong to step back, as the approaching figures are not the real ones but fakes. Kim Junsong, stunned, watches as Xiao Chuno's fake charges at Li Huiyang and laments about an old grudge from a death mission, questioning whether Li Huiyang still holds resentment despite his reputed kindness. Their swords clash with a sharp metallic ring. Kim Junsong also joins the fight as he tells Huiyang that he'll confront the other fake. Li Huiyang, confused by the boldness of these fakes, wonders why they dare face him so audaciously, especially when one of them holds Yiziel's memories, which should make them aware of his strength. Cha Yiziel's fake seizes the moment when Huiyang is lost in his thoughts and attacks him from behind. But he evades her strike with skill. As both fakes continue their assault, Li Huiyang expertly dodges their attacks. Just as he continues to counter, an arrow narrowly misses his face, and Kim Junsong's voice cuts through, complaining about the missed opportunity with a disdainful smirk. A few moments earlier, as Li Huiyang takes down the fakes of Go Yongwu, Kim Junsong, a 35-year-old archer with a past as a fisherman from Wanyang, watches from behind a tree, a smirk curling on his lips. With a practiced ease, he knocks an arrow, revealing his dark hobby of cumin fishing. In the present moment, Kim Junsong reflects on his slip into dialect. Realizing his excitement got the better of him, he taunts Li Huiyang, asking him what emotions are churning inside him: betrayal, futility, or anger. Li Huiyang, recognizing the madness in Kim Junsong's eyes, realizes that this man is even more deranged than he had thought, and says to him that he was wondering when he would show his true colors. Kim Junsong responds as if Li Huiyang had expected this betrayal. Li Huiyang remembers the time he helped Kim Junsong walk and told him that he could see the stats of others, and he noted how dramatically Junsong's numbers had risen. He accuses Kim Junsong of being a murderous psychopath. Kim Junsong's fascination grows, his tone laced with envy as he asks if Li Huiyang has somehow received the tower's favor. Li Huiyang, dismissive of the small talk, demands to know why Junsong is willing to kill others, questioning whether the allure of golden stats is really worth it. He points his sword, its blue aura glowing menacingly, directly at Junsong. Kim Junsong, unfazed, explains with a twisted sense of satisfaction that in this world, killing people brings rewards, not penalties. He draws back his bow and releases an arrow towards him. Li Huiyang, who had hoped there might be a deeper motive behind Junsong's actions, realizes his mistake. Junsong is simply a psychopath who was biding his time. As Che Yiziel's and Xiao Chunho's fakes close in, Li Huiyang clashes with them while dodging Kim Junsong's relentless arrows. He breaks each one with precise movements, but a few scratches mar his face. He lands hard on the ground, gritting his teeth and recognizing that Junsong hasn't shown all his cards yet. Li Huiyang takes a strategic glance at the fake's formation. He observes Che Yiziel and Xiao Chunho positioned behind him. Che Yiziel, renowned as the finest close combatant in the area, and Xiao Chunho, the most skilled healer. Their presence, combined with Kim Junsong, a formidable attacker stationed in front of them, creates a nearly impenetrable team. Turning his attention to Kim Junsong, Li Huiyang acknowledges the impressive effort he put into convincing the fakes. Kim Junsong, with an arrow in hand and a confident smirk playing on his lips, makes the remark that catching a big fish requires significant effort. He admits that he initially expected Huiyang to fall easily, yet he finds him surprisingly resilient. He says that he relishes the challenge, eagerly anticipating the sight of Huiyang's painful struggle before his inevitable defeat. He then commands the fakes to tighten their nets around Li Huiyang, while he draws and fires 3 more arrows with precision. Li Huiyang, utilizing his impeccable senses, assesses the well-coordinated balance of Junsong's team. He reviews the stats of Che Yiziel and Xiao Chunho, noting their high levels of skill and capability. Despite the impressive team composition, Huayong realizes that even the best strategic setup might not be enough in the face of overwhelming strength. He engages in a fierce battle, his determination unwavering as he takes down the fakes one by one, despite their well-coordinated attacks. As the battle rages on, a status window pops up, confirming the deaths of both fakes and updating the numbers. The current count of players stands at 14, while the fakes are reduced to 11, with a reminder to kill at least one person within 30 minutes. As Li Huayong approaches, Kim Jun-song collapses to his knees, drenched in sweat and trembling with fear. He begs desperately for his life, confessing that his obsession with rewards has driven him to madness and led him to cross boundaries he should never have approached. With a voice filled with desperation, he pleads for just one chance to make amends, but suddenly, a burst of manic laughter erupts from Jun-song as he springs up and attacks Huayong, cursing him to go to hell. Li Huayong remains calm and resolute, responding with a swift and decisive blow that cuts through Jun-song's attack. As Kim Jun-song falls, his final thoughts are filled with the painful realization that Huayong is far more than just another formidable opponent. The status window flashes a chilling message. A player has died, leaving 13 players and 11 fakes remaining. At least one more person must be killed within the next 30 minutes. Li Huayong stands tall, blood dripping from his sword, grappling with the grim reality that he has had to kill a living human. Just then, another status window interrupts his thoughts. It announces that the player who undertook the role of the Star Killer has met their end, and now he has the chance to step into their shoes. A crimson aura envelops him, filling him with confusion. The window reveals that accepting the Star Killer challenge will enhance his stats and grant him fake support, with tremendous rewards if he succeeds. As the red aura swirls around a peculiar woman who appears before him, Li Huayong reflects on the earlier revelation about Jun-song's command over the fakes. He notes the staggering benefits of becoming the Star Killer: legendary rank equipment, legendary rank skill, a rapid increase in stat points, and the Star Killer exclusive trait. He thinks that despite his discomfort with killing fakes, he was able to kill them because he knew they weren't humans, but he understands that he may face more human opponents, potentially including other challengers for the Star Killer title, or maybe even someone who's the actual future Star Killer. Yet he cannot bring himself to become a psychotic killer like Kim Jun-song and decides to reject the challenge. As Li Huayong walks towards the group, he notices everyone gathered, with Kim Seon particularly standing out, calling him Big Brother cheerfully. Kim Seon's bright eyes and friendly demeanor prompt Li Huayong to momentarily consider adopting a more ruthless approach. Instead, he acknowledges the effort everyone put into following his plan and expresses his appreciation, recognizing the difficulty they faced. Despite his outward calm, he struggles to contain his own frustration. A man, accompanied by his fake, questions what their next move should be, pointing out how closely the two fakes resemble each other. His fake then inquires if Li Huayong can truly distinguish the real from the fake. Li Huayong affirms this, but before he can explain further, a voice interrupts, thanking them for adhering to the plan. Li Huayong turns to see his own fake, realizing the situation has become even more tangled. Confusion spreads as a man asks how they should decide whom to trust, while a woman questions whether Li Huayong had anticipated this twist. Li Huayong reflects on the complications introduced by Kim Jun-song, which thwarted his plan to eliminate his fate beforehand. Now he faces a strategic duel with his mirror image. Li Jechiel, uncertain about who is genuine, asks for clarification on the situation and whether Li Huayong has killed the fakes he mentioned. Li Huayong realizes that there are currently 8 individuals who are either fakes or deceased players. If he reveals the names of the 5 fakes he has eliminated, it will reveal their identities. By proving this, he could also demonstrate his own status as a player. But he and his fake simultaneously announce the names of the deceased, leaving everyone stunned. Despite this, Li Huayong braces himself, realizing the weight of the moment. His fake taunts the group, suggesting that the trust built between Kim Seon, Che Yiseol, and the real Li Huayong makes it improbable for him to have killed their fakes first. This statement intensifies the doubt and suspicion among the crowd. A man accuses Li Huayong of manipulating the situation, while a woman agrees, noting how obvious the trick seems. Cha Yiseol argues that they should not jump to conclusions based on a single account. The fake further complicates matters by suggesting that if his claims are true, Kim Jun-song must be the real fake, implying that the genuine Jun-song has been killed. This revelation shocks everyone, as Jun-song was the highest level member and their leader, making the idea of his death nearly inconceivable. The fake smirks, sensing an advantage, and accuses Li Huiyang of being the fake. A woman proposes attacking Li Huiyang and eliminating the remaining fakes, but Kim Sion protests, pointing out that this would mean he himself is a fake. Cha Yisul agrees that they should avoid hasty judgments based on a single perspective. Seo Chino supports this, emphasizing the need for caution. Suddenly, someone warns that they have little time before the impending disaster strikes. Li Huiyang, contemplating the situation, realizes that praising the fake would be akin to praising himself. He acknowledges the fake's clever maneuvering. Addressing the group, he admits to killing Kim Junsong, surprising the fake. He then thinks that there is a crucial detail that even his fake is unaware of. Junsong had killed other players. Drawing his sword, Li Huiyang declares that Junsong was a traitor and, with a decisive strike, attacks Junsong's fake, solidifying his stance. Kim Junsong's doppelganger lets out a harsh cough, drawing attention to the tense atmosphere. Li Huiyang's doppelganger erupts in fury, shouting at Huiyang, questioning what he thinks he is doing, and accusing him of acting recklessly now that he has nothing to say. Suddenly, Seo Chunho's voice cuts through the chaos as he asks Li Huiyang if Kim Junsong is truly a traitor and what that could possibly mean. Seo Chunho's mind races, trying to piece together the situation. If his suspicion is correct, the one who just attacked Kim Junsong must be the real Li Huiyang. The fact that everyone is gathered in one place gives the players an upper hand. When a doppelganger kills, their true nature is immediately revealed, preventing them from killing recklessly. Li Huiyang, if he can identify and kill a doppelganger, can prove he is the real one. But now he is claiming Kim Junsong is a traitor. Seo Chino asks Huiyang if Junsong killed humans. Li Huiyang, with a serious expression, confirms with a yes, explaining that Kim Junsong was a demon wearing the mask of a good person, hiding his true nature and biding his time. Kim Eunjin, with tears welling up, cries out in disbelief. She recalls when Kim Junsong saved her from a kobold and asked if she was all right. The memory makes the accusation even more painful. Overcome with emotion, she rushes at Li Huiyang to attack, but an arrow strikes her. She turns, stunned, to see Kim Junsong's doppelganger behind her with his bow drawn. A status window appears, coldly stating that a player has died, updating the count to players. 12. Doppelgangers. 11. They must kill at least one person within 30 minutes. Li Huiyang, frustrated, realizes Kim Junsong's doppelganger still has enough strength to fight. Junsong's doppelganger, with a twisted grin, laughs maniacally, enjoying the turmoil. Suddenly, another status window pops up, showing that a doppelganger has died. Players. 12. Doppelgangers. 10. An Secheng, who has killed Kim Junsong's doppelganger, apologizes to Li Huiyang for doubting him. The room erupts with shouts of realization and urgency. People beg Huiyang to tell them what to do next. Li Huiyang, feeling a sense of déjà vu, smiles and announces his final plan. But his doppelganger seizes the moment to attack from behind, forcing Huiyang to defend himself. Amid the clash, Li Huiyang explains they need to loot all the gold and use it to raise their stats. As they follow his plan, increasing their stats with the gold, Huiyang's thoughts race. With their improved stats, they are now more formidable than before. As they make their way back to the tower following the intense completion of their mission, Li Huiyang is deep in thought, reflecting on the narrowness of their victory. The battle had been grueling, but one significant advantage had been the doppelgangers' unchanged stats since their entry onto the second floor. This discrepancy had given the players a crucial edge in the fight, tipping the scales just enough to secure their survival. An Secheng's voice suddenly pulls Huiyang from his reverie. Secheng, with a look of regret etched on his face, expresses his sorrow over the fact that they couldn't save everyone. Li Huiyang, feeling a shared sense of disappointment, acknowledges his sentiments. He too is deeply affected by the losses they've endured. As he contemplates the future, Li Huiyang is acutely aware of the daunting challenges that lie ahead. The thought of other regions struggling without a guide like him weighs heavily on his mind. He considers the increasing intensity of the battles to come and reflects on the unique ability he possesses to read the guide. He then resolves, with renewed determination, that despite the ongoing hardships and the toll they have taken, he is committed to saving as many lives as possible as long as there are people who believe in him. Lost in his reflections, Li Huiyang is brought back to the present by An Secheng, who stands before him with a look of earnest gratitude. He thanks Huiyang for his steadfast leadership throughout the ordeal. Li Huiyang, ever humble, shifts the credit to the team's collective effort and cooperation, recognizing that their success was a group achievement rather than his alone. An Secheng, contemplating Huiyang's slower leveling progress, speculates that it might be linked to his special ability. Impressed by Secheng's caution and decision-making, Li Huiyang sees him as a valuable ally. An Secheng bows deeply, his gesture filled with sincere regret for the doubts he had previously harbored. This apology is heartfelt, and it is not long before others in the group follow suit, expressing their own remorse for underestimating Li Huiyang. Kim Seong, breaking the tension with a hearty laugh, playfully teases the group about their failure to see Huiyang's true potential earlier. Che Yizio, with a hint of pride, claims she was the first to recognize Huiyang's extraordinary abilities. Xiao Chuno, his eyes brimming with tears, also offers a final apology. In a touching and heartfelt moment, An Secheng, despite the recent turmoil, asks Li Huiyang to continue leading them through the challenges ahead. Huiyang, momentarily taken aback by the request, allows a warm smile to spread across his face. After a brief pause, he agrees, accepting the role of their leader with a sense of renewed purpose and determination. The status window announces that it is calculating gold rewards based on individual contributions. Li Jiexiu, beaming with joy, exclaims that they're getting gold too as 700G gets added to his profile. A woman shares his excitement, delighted with her 500G reward. Their celebration, however, pales in comparison to Kim Seong's exuberance. He bursts out loudly as he receives a whopping gold prize, proclaiming with pride that he's the man rewarded with 2000G. Li Huiyang watches him, speechless, then thinks to himself that it looks like everyone managed to get some gold because they followed his plan. He smiles, feeling gratified that they all received something, while he eyes his own reward of 12,500G. A status window catches his attention, stating that since he has obtained more than 10,000G, his shop's rank will be increased. Glancing at the shop window, he thinks that this must be how the system works. If he wants to purchase rare items, he needs to elevate his shop's rank. He decides to purchase skill ups, level 3, with 5000G, and his level 2 basic swordsmanship levels up to level 3. Reflecting on his earlier battle with the colossal monster, he recalls how he had unknowingly used a higher level of swordsmanship, but fainted right after. He smiles, thinking that being able to use such a skill for just this much gold is truly a bargain. As he completes his shopping, Che Yisil notices a status window indicating that player Li Huiyang has shared 1500G with her. Panicking slightly, she asks why he suddenly gave her that. He calmly replies that she can have it, explaining that when they fought the kobolds and doppelgangers, it would have been much harder without her help. In a world where they must take lives to survive, they can still laugh and rely on each other because of her. His words imbue her with newfound determination, and Che Yisil declares that she will become stronger, vowing to level up her level 1 healing hand to level 2. Simultaneously, a status window appears in front of Kim Seong, informing him that player Li Huiyang has shared 200G with him. Kim Seong, overflowing with emotion, calls Huiyang Big Bro, but Huiyang quickly tells him to stop being weird and just keep up the good work. Li Huiyang considers that since Seong is quite competent, he might be useful if he becomes stronger, and it's always better not to have annoying people on his bad side. Kim Seong, with an overly affectionate expression and teary eyes, tells Huiyang that his wish is his command from now on, so he should just tell him what he needs. Giving him no attention, Li Huiyang flexes his sword and thinks that the time to test his level 3 basic swordsmanship has finally come. In the valley-like area, the status window states that the 3rd floor's mission is commencing and that the mission is a siege war. It explains that this will be their first encounter with players from other regions, and their group's mission is to attack, bring down the castle, and occupy the altar. The remaining time is 24 hours, and the penalty for failing the mission is unknown. A shining purple crystal labeled Return Crystal is in Li Huiyang's hand, and the status window mentions that he has obtained this time-limited item, usable only on the 3rd floor. Li Huiyang examines the crystal. As everyone else gets their crystals, Li Jieqiu asks if this means they need to kill people, of all things. A woman looks at the crystal and questions its purpose. Li Huiyang, staring at the status window in front of him, realizes its significance. He then calls out to Kim Seong and reminds him that he said he'd do anything he asked, causing Seong to gulp nervously. Breathing heavily as he climbs the mountain, Kim Seong mutters that Huiyang is being too much. Couldn't he just explain things properly? He could have told him that he wouldn't die for real, even if he got killed here. He recalls that the guide window clarified that on this floor, the return crystal will return him to the starting location upon death. Standing in front of the castle gate, Kim Se-yeon remembers Hwoyoung's promise of 100 G if he goes and does reconnaissance for them. Determined, he shouts that he'll destroy everything while he's here. As he starts hitting the castle gate, a status window indicates that the gate's durability has dropped to 81%. It continues to decrease until the gate finally opens. He steps inside, but a status window states that the gate will reset in 2 seconds. Laughing, he declares that no mere castle gate can withstand his power. As the status window states that the castle gate has been restored, he looks and realizes it can be reset. He then spots 2 guards on top of the castle wall and notices something that appears to be the altar, with about 10 people around it. He recalls Hwoyoung's instruction not to kill anyone there, as it would reveal the use of the return crystal. Grinning, he thinks, although he was asked not to, they're just trash scared of him, a single person. He rushes towards them, intent on destroying them all, but suddenly his nose hits something, causing it to bleed. He wonders what just happened as he looks at the blurry figures before him, realizing it could be a gun. Lee Hwoyoung shouts in disbelief, asking if it's a gun. Kim Se-yeon shouts back that it fired some kind of magic bullet that hurt like hell. Lee Hwoyoung thinks that's crazy, as a gun shouldn't be a weapon obtainable at this stage. Even An Sechang, whose class is a soldier, doesn't have a gun as a weapon. He recalls the status window mentioning the benefits of becoming the Star Killer, realizing this is going to be a tough fight. He then turns to Chae Yisil, who assures him not to worry as she's got his back. Seo Chano and others also express their readiness, giving him their support. Smiling, Lee Hwoyoung says that's great and proceeds to outline his plan. Under the blue moon, a man's tears fall on the ground as he prostrates, trying his best not to shed them. A woman sits on his back yawning, while the people around her tremble in fear. Lee Hwoyoung, having honed his impeccable senses from the second-floor mission, spots the 2 guards, Lee Daemon and Ju Hongdeok, both at level 8, standing atop the castle walls just as Se-yeon had described. Kim Se-yeon, frustrated by their reappearance, shouts at them and throws insults at them. Chae Yisil, worried, points out to Hwoyoung that if Se-yeon goes back out there again, the enemy might figure out what the return crystals do. Lee Hwoyoung acknowledges that while the guards might suspect something, they won't be sure. It's more likely they'll think it's a special ability of Se-yeon's. Meanwhile, the guards, sensing the threat, ready their bows and shoot a volley of arrows towards them. Kim Se-yeon, surprised by the sudden attack, expresses his frustration at the change in their situation. Lee Hwoyoung, quick and agile, leaps into the air, his sword slicing through the arrows mid-flight. Landing with precision, he takes advantage of the moment. Using Se-yeon's shoulder as a springboard, Hwoyoung propels himself to the top of the castle wall and swiftly takes down the guards. The guards, in stunned disbelief, can only mutter before falling to Hwoyoung's swift strikes. Standing victorious, Lee Hwoyoung declares that they have only one chance to seize victory. Outside the castle gate, Seo Chano insists that they must defeat their enemies quickly to keep the secret of the return crystal safe. Kim Se-yeon, full of energy, praises Hwoyoung and urges everyone to charge. He rushes towards the castle door, announcing that this is their opportunity. With a powerful roar, he claims he can destroy the gate with just 5 of his stone fists. His level 2 fist stone shatters the gate with a single powerful blow. The gate's status window confirms that it is completely destroyed and beyond repair. While the gate lies in ruins, Kim Se-yeon, having exhausted his powers, collapses to the ground. Chae Yisil rushes over to him, desperately trying to heal him and urging him to hold on. From his position on the castle wall, Lee Hwoyoung watches the scene and wonders what happened. He notices a guard complaining about their lack of effort and pointing to a woman with a gun, calling her a madwoman ready to exploit their mistakes. Lee Hwoyoung looks at her profile and identifies her as Sunsuan, a dangerous level 13 star killer, and wonders if she was the one who caused the massacre on the 2nd floor. Sunsuan, spotting Hwoyoung, fires a bullet that hits his right shoulder. Lee Hwoyoung, taking cover and drinking a potion, marvels at Suan's accuracy and hostility. Removing his shirt to check the wound, he is grateful for the Kalia's leather armor he had prepared, which offers 50% magic defense. Observing Sunsuan, he figures that each magic bullet uses 10 MP. Assuming she has the same shop rank as him, he notes that she shouldn't have mana recovery items yet. He jumps down from the wall, followed by his team, thinking that Suan has only 13 magic bullets left. They need to move quickly towards the altar. A few hours ago, a man asks how they would get through the hail of bullets to reach the altar. An Sechang suggests they find cover and move in a zigzag pattern. Li Huiyang thinks that the magic bullets, which nearly killed Xiang, must be limited by some kind of energy source. Kim Xiang reassures them that he wasn't on the brink of death. Xiao Chino asks about this crucial energy point, and Huiyang answers that it's just one bullet, a single crucial shot. Now in the heat of the moment, Sunsuan is firing magic bullets without pause, while Che Yixiel works tirelessly to heal the injured. Sunsuan kicks a man from her floor aside and orders him and others to attack them. Li Huiyang realizes that what happens next will determine their fate. If a full-scale battle breaks out, some teammates might be lost due to the magic bullets. They need to reach the altar quickly. As a man leaps at him, Li Huiyang dodges and counters with a sword strike. At that moment, he spots a bullet heading his way, but Xiu Chino appears just in time to block it. Sun Suiyan, impressed by their quick reactions, continues her relentless assault. Xiu Chino shouts at Huiyang to move away and takes a magic bullet himself. Li Huiyang looks around, seeing Che Yixiel healing everyone and others fighting, and clenches his teeth. Even though he knows they'll come back after dying, he struggles with the sight of Suiyan's ruthless killing. Sun Suiyan, smiling with malevolent delight, watches them with chilling interest. Kim Xiang shouts at the man in front of him, declaring that they are in serious trouble now. The men, looking at Xiang, who's laughing like a maniac, fail to understand the gravity of the situation. With a determined glint in his eyes, Kim Xiang readies his level 2 fist stone, announcing that now that his big brother has reached the altar, they no longer need to hold back. He rushes at them, attacking with fierce intensity and throwing the men aside like rag dolls. At the same time, Li Huiyang confronts Sun Suiyan. His sword points menacingly at her while she aims her gun back at him. She challenges him, questioning how he can be so strong at level 2. He smiles and counters, wondering how she has reached level 13 so quickly. As she stares at him, puzzled, a blue light flashes beneath Huiyang's feet, and a status window appears, stating that he has occupied the altar and must remove the opposing player. Realizing he needs 3 people to fully control the altar, Li Huiyang knows he must first deal with Sun Suiyan. He lunges with his sword, but she blocks the strike with her gun and fires bullets from various angles. He skillfully deflects each shot, leaving her to wonder at his extraordinary reflexes. Xiao Chino, a swordsman renowned for his prowess and one of the strongest players in their region, was also known for his exceptional skills in table tennis. In professional matches where the pace of play is relentless, returning each ball solely by sight becomes nearly impossible. At such high levels, players must anticipate their opponent's moves by reading their body language and gaze. This ability to predict where the ball will come from is a mark of true brilliance. Xiao Chino earned the nickname the Genius of Prediction for his extraordinary talent in this regard. It was this keen sense of anticipation that allowed him to discern the patterns in Sun Suiyan's attacks. Dodging her magic bullets, Li Huiyang presses his assault. Moving backward, Sun Suiyan silently curses him, realizing he has better stats. As they kill all of the other region's players, An Sechang declares they're finished here, and Kim Xiang adds that they need to end this quickly before they come back. Sun Suiyan, wiping blood from a scratch on her cheek, asks Huiyang if the return crystal's function is revival. Li Huiyang confirms, adding that it's useless for her to know now. Even if she has the hidden skill to strike once, he believes he can withstand it. He prepares to take the risk and finish the fight. But Shuiyan's next words unsettle him, as she asks if he thinks he has already won. He then notices her gold is depleting and her level 3 firing has upgraded to level 4. Cursing, Li Huiyang prepares to attack as Shuiyan fires at him. The bullets hit him, and through his blurry vision he sees his allies rushing towards him, shouting his name. The status window announces that the mission on the 3rd floor has concluded. As the team returns to the lobby, Li Huiyang notices Kim Xiang looking dejected. He inquires about Xiang's gloomy expression despite their victory. Kim Xiang grumbles as he examines his status window, lamenting that although he was the one who carried the team this time, the reward is disappointingly small. Li Huiyang smiles, recalling that he hadn't anticipated the flurry of shots at the end, but managed to use his sword to strike Sun Suiyan simultaneously. He also remembers Suiyan's final words, promising to remember his name. Looking at Kim Xiang, Che Yixiel, and An Sechang, he reflects on how they secured the altar and emerged victorious. However, the thought of Sun Suiyan still sends shivers down his spine, and he hopes they won't cross paths again. Suddenly, someone shouts, drawing their attention to a large window revealing the defeated group from earlier. The status window warns that the defeated group will now face a disaster. A monstrous roar erupts, and the status window indicates that the disaster targets players who failed to secure a single kill. A man from the defeated group cries out for help. Che Yiziel, determined to assist, tries to breach the window but retracts her hand as the monster growls menacingly. They all watch in horror as the disaster unfolds. When the disaster finally ends, the status window announces that only one player in the C-1427 area has survived, and the group has been reorganized. Li Huiyang realizes that this survivor must be someone from the enemy group who managed to get a kill. They see fresh footprints, revealing Sunsuan. The status window updates to show that a new group has been formed. As Sunsuan arrives, her first words are a contemptuous remark about how filthy everything is. Li Huiyang grits his teeth, curses under his breath, and thinks to himself that it's no wonder he felt uneasy earlier. In the midst of a city left in ruins, the group faces their new reality. Amidst the devastation, a woman asks if the fourth floor really resembles an abandoned city. The status window flickers to life, delivering a chilling message. In 6 hours, disaster will strike this cursed place. They are told to defeat all monsters in the city and secure an escape portal, which will appear randomly as they hunt. Only 20 portals will show up, and they must ensure no one else uses theirs. As the countdown begins, a man, buzzing with excitement, says that this is finally a monster hunting mission. After the grueling second and third floors, he is thrilled at the prospect of fighting real monsters. Li Baianqiu observes that with 20 portals and only 13 of them, there's no need for internal competition. Kim Seon, brimming with enthusiasm, vows to slay all the monsters and level up drastically. Cha Yizil, however, raises a valid point. If they can't let others use their portals, there must be a limit to the number of monsters appearing. Seo Chino agrees, noting that if one person opens multiple portals, others might be left without an escape. He suggests that the extra portals could be a trap set by the tower. An Sechain concludes that regardless of the monster count, they should seize the opportunity to escape as soon as a portal opens. Seo Chino insists they all agreed to stop hunting and escape immediately when a portal appears, and a woman nods in agreement. Cha Yizil notices Kim Seon's peculiar expression and asks him about it, to which he defensively replies that it's just his face. Li Huiyang watches them with a smile, reflecting on how far they'd come in feeling that they've finally become a cohesive team. Yet he can't shake off the concern about the remaining issue. He looks back, wondering about the problem ahead. Sunsuan walks away, asking why she should follow his orders and threatening that she'll kill them if they try. Kim Seon, Seo Chuno, Che Yiziel, and Li Huiyang all look at each other, wondering if they should just gang up on her. 12 hours ago, Kim Seon, feeling cornered, retorts that if Sunsuan hadn't had a gun, she would be nothing but useless trash. However, Sueon responds with fury, kicking him and slamming his face into the ground. She derisively tells him that he really believes he has multiple lives and dismisses him as trash. Li Huiyang, observing this from the sidelines, asserts that she's on their territory now and warns her to stop the theatrics. He reflects on his arduous journey to eliminate Kim Jun-son, a potential star killer, but is now faced with the reality of encountering a true star killer in Sueon, and on top of that, she's formidable in combat, even with a gun. Sun Sueon steps up to him and acknowledges their reunion. Li Huiyang, sensing the gravity of the situation, asks if she has something to say since it's no time for pleasantries. A peculiar feeling of being targeted washes over him, and he steps back. A status window appears, indicating that the star killer has marked him as her primary target. Sun Sueon's gaze turns lethal as the window confirms his designation. Li Huiyang, puzzled by the term main target, checks the guide with wide eyes. Now back in the present, Sun Sueon walks away, leaving a tense atmosphere behind. Kim Seong is engaged in battle with a massive orc and apologizes for hitting something so handsome, hoping the orc quickly becomes his experience point. As the orc falls, an escape portal opens unexpectedly. Kim Seong, surprised by the portal's appearance after only a few kills, turns around and is startled to see Li Huiyang. He asks Huiyang what he's doing there. Li Huiyang, unfazed, questions why Seong looks so shocked, as if he's done something wrong. Kim Seong, trying to mask his anxiety, laughs nervously, mentioning that he expected Huiyang to open the portal already. Li Huiyang, unimpressed, accuses Seong of trying to pull a fast one and kicks him into the portal, telling him to stop with the nonsense. Li Huiyang, having dealt with one problem, reflects on the guide's warning that the traits of a star killer would fully manifest on the Day of Blood. On that day, if he gets killed by a star killer, the star killer would earn a significant reward. Li Huiyang resolves to level up as much as possible in preparation. He isn't sure when the Day of Blood will come, but he suspects it will favor the star killer, given the anticipated casualties. As Huiyang continues to walk, he encounters a level 10 orc that greets him disparagingly. He defeats the orc, gaining experience, and realizes he needs to become as strong as possible before the Day of Blood. Notably, defeating this orc did not open a portal. He considers that, although he could potentially eliminate all the monsters on this floor given enough time, not everyone has escaped yet. He also needs to stay vigilant against Sunsuan, who is still out there slaying monsters. A foul smell suddenly assails him. He covers his nose, wondering about the rotting stench. The guide window informs him that while all orcs emit a stench, those leaving a portal behind are particularly pungent. He then spots an orc behind him and identifies it as the source of the smell. He rushes towards it and slays the orc with his sword. A status window confirms that a portal has appeared. Li Huiyang smiles, pleased that his efforts have led to a new portal. Sunsuan stands there, her anger barely contained, as Li Huiyang puts on an exaggerated performance. He curses his bad luck, dramatically bemoaning the fact that he still hasn't found a portal. Sunsuan, struggling to keep her composure, asks if he's always this unlucky. Li Huiyang responds with a theatrical sigh, explaining that he's never won anything in his life and that this kind of random luck mission is the worst for him. He chuckles inwardly, knowing his so-called bad luck is really due to his deliberate avoidance of orcs that might open a portal. He knows that since Suan needs to kill him on the Day of Blood, she reluctantly lets him hunt the orcs. He kills the orcs that don't open a portal, as he knows that if he dies here without securing a portal, it will be bad for her too. A smile appears on his face as he's amused by the fact that she doesn't realize he has already found one. The status window then announces that a certain player has opened a portal, leaving 5 remaining escape portals. Li Huiyang glances at the status window, feeling a sense of relief that others seem to be escaping smoothly. With a dramatic gesture, he hits his head with his hand, loudly complaining about the curse of random luck games and the dwindling number of portals. Sunsuan, her irritation evident, tells him to be quiet and focus on the hunt. As he battles the orcs, Huiyang reflects on their resemblance to Kim Seong. Each time he cuts one down, he feels a mix of regret and strange satisfaction, emotions that mirror his complex relationship with Sunsuan. He steals a glance at her, finding it ironic that she is worried about him just so she can kill him. He then asks, with a hint of teasing, why she seems anxious when he's the one who hasn't found a portal. She snaps back, saying that she isn't anxious. He presses further, asking how many portals she has opened. After a moment's hesitation, she admits it's 5. He looks at the numbers and thinks it's a lot, but still manageable. With Sunsuan having opened 5 portals and him only 1, he calculates that if the remaining 11 people each open 1 portal, 3 will be left. The status window confirms this, showing 3 portals still in play. He then realizes that it might just be him and Suian left on the 4th floor. Determined to act, he decides it's time to part ways with her. The status window flashes a reminder, only 10 minutes remain. He quickly tells her that he will search for a portal on his own and suggests she go ahead without him. But Shuian stops him, saying she needs him to wait. Li Huiyang's heart skips a beat as he wonders if she has figured out his plan. He hesitates and asks if she has anything else to discuss with him, given the dwindling time. After a pause, she mumbles something barely audible. He senses something is off and feels an urgent need to leave quickly. As he makes a break for it, Suian grabs his shirt. Turning around, Huiyang sees her looking embarrassed as she admits she has forgotten where she opened the portals. He is taken back, thinking to himself how she could be so directionally challenged. The lobby buzzes with excitement as someone calls out Huiyang's name, announcing his arrival with enthusiasm. Kim Seong, brimming with energy, rushes towards Huiyang, eagerly calling him Big Brother. He expects a warm welcome, but the moment takes an unexpected turn when Huiyang's fist lands solidly on Seong's face, sending him crashing to the ground. Li Huiyang mutters that Seong startled him, feeling his mission isn't quite finished yet. Standing beside Huiyang, Siu Suiyan comments that Seong looks like an orc. Li Huiyang gives her a sharp look, clearly indicating that such remarks should be kept to herself. Cha Yisiel steps forward, relieved to see Suiyan back safely. Seo Chuno expresses his relief as well, noting that although she was their enemy before, she is now their teammate, and he looks forward to working with her. Sunsuan, however, ignores his handshake and turns away, complaining that he is too noisy. Kim Seon, with his hand pressed against his freshly punched face, calls Shueyan a little wench and says she should have been left to die on the 4th floor. Sunsuan retorts, calling him a pig and telling him to shut up. Kim Seong, flexing his biceps, proudly insists they are muscle, not fat. Li Huiyang, watching the exchange, wonders if he should have left Shueyan behind. He thinks that someone blessed by the killer star wouldn't easily die from abandonment and decides to use this as a chance to get her indebted to him, though he remains wary. He hopes she will not act out until the day of blood. Their brief moment of peace is shattered when a voice cuts through the lobby, remarking that it seems everyone has gotten a little used to things now. Turning towards the sound, they see Kumkum standing proudly, an unexpected guest. Sun Suyan, clearly annoyed, fires a magic bullet straight at Kumkum's face, questioning why it is here again. Li Huiyan watches her fierce attack on Kumkum in disbelief. Kumkum, unfazed, comments on the intensity of the greeting despite their time apart. It then retaliates by throwing Suyan against the wall, prompting her to call him a monster rabbit. As Li Huiyang observes, he is surprised by how easily Kumkum sent Suyan flying. Noting Kumkum's deadly aura, he realizes that, given Kumkum's stats, the attack may have been more restrained than it appeared. He begins to wonder if the killer star's significance in the tower is greater than he initially thought. Kumkum then tells itself to calm down, noting that it is still too early to wrap up its work. Then, looking at everyone, it announces that it is time to move on to the next mission. Kumkum, with a dramatic flourish, proposes a change before they move to the next floor. It transforms the lobby into an impressive library, filled with rows and rows of books. It announces that each of them must choose one book. This book will either be a helpful tool for survival or something that could lead to their downfall, depending entirely on their choice. They must be careful, as their fate hinges on this decision. Kim Seon protests, firmly declaring that he won't let a mere book decide his future. Seo Chino wonders if he might gain strength by finding a manual on sword techniques. Kumkum instructs them that they must keep the contents of their books a secret from each other and warns that all the books will disappear once they start the mission on the 5th floor. It then shows them a book titled The Way for a Cute Rabbit to Survive, hoping they will choose wisely. With that, Kumkum disappears, leaving the room in quiet confusion. A man asks if that's all the guidance they will get, while a woman tells him to start searching for the book he needs. Soon, everyone got busy looking for their chosen book. Li Huiyang notices that most people are searching in categories related to their own classes. Standing in front of the guide window, he thinks it makes sense to focus on relevant books rather than waste time looking elsewhere. However, he is puzzled when the guide suggests he choose SS Rank Returner's Monopoly of Connections from the novel section. He wonders why the guide would direct him to a novel and what significance it might hold. As he selects the book that the guide has recommended, the status window promptly confirms his choice, adding a strict note that the book cannot be exchanged or its contents disclosed to others. He glances at the title and feels a pang of disappointment, finding it already rather unpromising. With a resigned sigh, he opens the book, convincing himself that it was suggested for a reason and deciding to give it a fair chance. As he starts reading, his frustration grows. The book turns out to be one of those bland, mass-produced fantasies, unoriginal and uninspiring. Looking around, he notices the choices of others. Seo Chino is absorbed in fawing swordsmanship. Kim Seong is reading Punch of the Fist King, and Che Yiseol has knowledge of the Eastern physician. Feeling a bit lost, he wonders if he should have chosen a book on sword techniques or martial arts instead. His gaze shifts to An Sekchang, who is busy setting up a tent. He wonders what kind of books Sekchang picked. At the same time, he hears persistent banging sounds and sees Sun Shuoyan muttering about dealing with Kumkum next time. Li Huiyang, overhearing this, decides it might be wise to keep his distance from her. The status window then announces that their current task is complete, and they are moving on to the 5th floor. They find themselves sitting in chairs at desks in a classroom. Curiosity spreads as someone wonders about the identities of their fellow students. Another voice adds that it feels as though time has stopped here. A woman, reflecting on their surroundings, notes that it almost seems like they've become younger. Her comment is met with agreement from another woman who feels the same way. Li Huiyang looks at himself and wonders if they've been transported back to their student days to fit the mission's setting. In the back, An Secheng is visibly upset about the loss of his muscles. Kim Seong, noticing Sechang's slim figure, jokes that he now looks like an anchovy. Li Huiyang observes Seong and thinks he resembles his younger self, though with a shaved head. Chai Yisil's voice cuts through the murmur, noting that Huiyang doesn't look much different. Li Huiyang turns to her and finds her youthful appearance still charming. His gaze then shifts to Xiao Chino, who seems almost unchanged from his older self. However, it is the woman beside him, wearing glasses, who captures his attention. He asks if she is Sunsuan. She removes her glasses and crushes them in her hand, questioning his stare. Li Huiyang notes that despite her changed appearance, Suyan seems quite familiar, guessing she must have had poor eyesight before. Suddenly, the voice of Kumkum echoes through the speakers, asking if they are appreciating their returned youth. It describes youth as a beautiful gift and then reveals their task, a role-playing mission on the 5th floor. It explains that they are now in a different dimension where both humans and monsters exist. From this point on, they are all cadets at an academy that trains monster hunters. Over the next 4 days, they will face quests, and failure will lead to a death mission, execution. It urges them to give their best effort. As the announcement ends, Li Huiyang contemplates the seriousness of their situation. Though he has faced a death mission before, he knows it will be particularly tough for an ordinary player. He regrets not choosing a sword technique manual over the novel he picked. Kumkum's voice then announces it's time to implant the necessary memories for their role play. A strange light sweeps over everyone's heads, including Huiyang's, and after a while, the status window confirms that the memories have been successfully added. Li Huiyang breathes heavily, his head throbbing as the new memories flash before his eyes. It feels like 2 sets of memories are now blending together in his mind. The new memories align with the content of the book he chose, adding another layer to the strange reality they are now part of. Kumkum's final words remind them that once the class ends, the quest will begin, and they should savor their time in the present as much as possible. In the lively classroom, the teacher passionately explains the quickest way to boost one's mana. As the lesson unfolds, Xiao Chino quietly leans over to Li Huiyang, who is seated beside him. He whispers that the people who were once frozen in time are now starting to move again. Li Huiyang, lost in thought, muses that if their lives were the pages of a novel, he and his classmates would merely be background characters. His gaze then shifts to the boy sitting in front of him, Yunim. He recognizes Yunim as the protagonist of this story, a returner with knowledge of the future. Thanks to Yunim's advanced knowledge, he has been able to form valuable connections and rise to great power. This realization makes Huiyang more determined to understand his place in this unfolding story. The teacher suddenly shifts focus, pointing to some symbols on the blackboard. With a challenge in his voice, he asks if anyone wants to try answering. He adds that a correct response will earn store points. Li Huiyang looks at Yunim, knowing that the question is too difficult for the average student, making it clear that Yunim is expected to answer. As Yunim raises his hand to respond, Li Huiyang confidently interjects, stating that the symbols represent action and that Professor Brown's team from Columbia University is currently researching it. The teacher's face lights up with excitement as he gets impressed to discover such talent in his class. Meanwhile, a status window informs Huiyang that he has earned store points, and a satisfied smile appears on his face. He realizes now why the guide recommended this novel. The need for sword techniques and martial arts manuals fades as Huiyang is determined to outshine Yunim and claim all the valuable connections for himself. As they walk through the school corridors, Kim Seong affectionately calls Li Huiyang Big Bro and wonders aloud about action, whatever that was from earlier, and how Huiyang could possibly know about it. Li Huiyang replies calmly that it was part of the memories given to him. Seong, visibly amazed, jokes that maybe only he has a good character. With a hint of challenge in his voice, Huiyang suggests that if Seong is jealous, he should just talk to the tower himself. Che Yisil, walking a few steps behind them, asks Huiyang when he thinks the quest will start. Drawing from his detailed recollection of the novel, Li Huiyang estimates that it should be right about now. Just then, a status window appears, announcing a new quest. Their mission is to clear the dungeon that has appeared beside the B-37 building of the Academy within 60 minutes, or face a death mission. Huiyang's eyes lock onto the status window, the gravity of the situation sinking in. He knows that the item dropped by the dungeon's boss monster is crucial for the future. Determined, he clenches his fist, fully aware that Yunim was originally supposed to get this item. But Huiyang is resolute. He won't let Yunim take it. With a surge of urgency, he shouts for them to hurry and dashes toward the dungeon. As they enter, another status window declares their entry into the orc den. Yunim, already inside, turns to them in bewilderment, asking how they managed to find this place. Hwoyang swiftly slays an orc with practiced ease and retorts that Yunim couldn't have thought he was the only one capable of discovering it. Shocked, Yunim tries to piece together how they managed to find this hidden spot, especially as he watches Li Hwoyang and Sunsuan engage in fierce combat, cutting down orcs with impressive skill. He thinks to himself that such powerful figures would surely be unforgettable. Summoning a stick to his hand, Yunim is seized by worry that they might snatch his prize away from him. He hurls the stick toward Hwoyang and Suyan, and it whizzes through the air, striking down several orcs in a flash before returning to his grasp with almost magical precision. Kim Sayon, wide-eyed and astonished, exclaims about the stick's astonishing power, while Che Yisil adds that it's incredibly strong. Hwoyang, observing Yunim's display, thinks he truly looks like a protagonist, impressive even in person. He realizes Yunim won't easily give up the dungeon reward and resolves to see how things unfold. With 48 minutes remaining and 72 monsters left, Hwoyang calculates they can clear the quest without trouble. However, to secure the dungeon reward, they need to defeat the most orcs to earn the right to challenge the boss monster. Though he senses that Yunim's current strength surpasses his own, Hwoyang, an expert at locating monsters, plunges back into battle. Sunsuan, her gaze fixed on Hwoyang, recalls their fourth-floor mission and his dramatic antics. Her resolve hardens with the memory of her past defeat. Determined not to be outdone this time, she fights fiercely alongside Hwoyang, her gun blazing with relentless fire. Yunim too engages the orcs with his stick, fully embracing his role as the story's hero. As others watch the fierce battle, Che Yisil marvels at the trio's exceptional skills. She turns to Siu Chuno, noting Hwoyang's unusually desperate behavior. With tears in his eyes, Juno speaks of Hwoyang's noble heart, unwilling to let them face a death mission. Kim Sayon, equally emotional, acknowledges Hwoyang's sacrifices for those who had once voted to send him on a death mission. Overcome with emotion, Siu Chuno raises his sword and passionately declares that they must work harder for Hwoyang's sake, calling him their light. His fervent voice inspires others to join in, their cheers ringing out in support of Hwoyang. Though Li Hwoyang looks confused by this sudden outpouring, he continues to fight with determination. After a grueling battle, Hwoyang breathes heavily as the status window announces the orcs are defeated and the boss room is now accessible. However, the right to challenge the boss monster has gone to Yunim. Frustrated, Li Hwoyang curses under his breath, feeling as though his best efforts have fallen short. He wonders if he simply has to give up now and pleads with Yunim for a chance to challenge the boss monster. Yunim, confused, asks what Hwoyang is suddenly talking about. With a grin of determination, Hwoyang hints at knowing how to break the cycle of regression, refusing to give up easily. The door swings open, and the status window announces Li Hwoyang's entrance into the boss room. As he steps in, he recalls the tense exchange from earlier. Yunim stands before him, sword drawn and aimed, demanding to know who Hwoyang is. With a calm demeanor, Li Hwoyang asks Yunim to lower his weapon, but Yunim, unyielding, insists on an answer. He presses Hwoyang on how he knows he's a regressor. The blade grazes Hwoyang's neck, and a thin stream of blood begins to drip. Despite the threat, Hwoyang remains composed, questioning whether Yunim's curiosity is truly important. Instead, he suggests that Yunim might be more intrigued by the winter that awaits him at the age of 32. The mention of this future event ignites fierce anger in Yunim's eyes. In a grand and imposing building, a man reflects on the deep regression that began in November, when Yunim was just 17. Yunim, holding a glass of wine, nods in agreement. The man speaks with a mix of admiration and envy, noting how Yunim has lived through the same period, from 17 to 32, over and over again. Yunim leans against a rain-smeared window, watching the downpour with a heavy heart, his frustration with the endless cycle of regression evident as he curses the unrelenting loop. Back in the present, Li Hwoyang pushes Yunim's sword aside with impeccable reflexes. He then proposes a deal. If Yunim lets him challenge the boss room, he will reveal how to break free from the cycle of regression. For Yunim, who has longed for centuries to escape this curse, accepting Hwoyang's offer seems necessary. He reluctantly puts away his sword, warning Hwoyang that if he is merely toying with him, the situation will turn grim. As a status window appears announcing that Yunim has granted Hwoyang permission to challenge the boss room, he turns his back and walks away. Inside the boss room, Li Huiyang finds himself facing a daunting figure. The boss monster, a menacing creature, growls in front of him, sending a shiver down his spine and a bead of sweat forming on his forehead. He fights to stay calm, reminding himself that this is just a novel. While he lacks detailed information about the monster's level or a guide, he knows the strategies to defeat it. The monster begins to emit a strange, swirling smoke and lets out a powerful roar. Huiyang recognizes this as the Orc Warrior's Roar, a tactic meant to break the will of challengers. However, his impeccable senses, which enhance his awareness and shield him from mental attacks, keep him unaffected by the roar. With pure determination, he charges at the boss monster. He puts his first strategy into action, targeting the monster's relatively weak lower body. As he attacks its legs with precision, the monster tries to counter with a powerful swing of its stick, but Huiyang narrowly avoids the blow. Seizing the opportunity, he strikes at the monster's palm, then its hand, continuing to slash at its legs. With each blow, the monster staggers until it finally collapses to its knees. Seizing the moment, Li Huiyang delivers the decisive blow, proclaiming that the reward is his. The status window confirms his victory, showing that the Orc Warrior has dropped an item and that he has successfully cleared the boss room. In the aftermath, the loud shouts of rock, paper, scissors fill the room as Kim Sayon and Li Huiyang compete once again. Kim Sayang's frustrated cry rings out as he grumbles about his latest defeat, while Huiyang, with a confident smile, relishes his supposed 11th win in a row. Annoyed, Kim Sayang questions Huiyang, hinting at the possibility of cheating. Huiyang, calm and collected, waves off the accusation, insisting that cheating in rock, paper, scissors is out of the question and demands his gold. Kim Sayong mutters curses under his breath in response. From the sidelines, Seo Chuno comments on Huiyang's impressive skill, even in this simple game. As Li Huiyang takes a sip from his cup, a brilliant gleam from the ring on his middle finger catches his eye. His thoughts drift to the two mythical items mentioned in the novel. The first, Gunner, is Yunim's famed weapon, known for its perfect accuracy. The second, the Ring of Nick, bestows extraordinary luck on its wearer, a boon that can't be shared. Huiyang examines the ring, recognizing its incredible potential as a safeguard for future challenges. While Yunim will have to face trials without such a ring, Huiyang plans to provide him with crucial information, knowing Yunim's deepest wish in the novel. His thoughts are interrupted when a cup is slammed onto the table with a loud thud. Sunsuan stands before him, challenging him to a game. She views rock, paper, scissors not just as a game of chance, but as a test of agility, claiming her skills approach a 50 agility stat. Li Huiyang demands to know how much gold she is offering. She immediately replies with 3,000 gold. Kim Sayong reacts with astonished disbelief at the large amount. After a moment's thought, Huiyang, with a calculating smile, suggests raising the bet to 5,000 gold. The next day, as everyone gathers in the training area, Li Huiyang takes in the scene with a wry grin. Here it is, the cliched scene from this kind of novel, the evaluation of strength by striking a punch machine. The professor stands before the cadets in the training hall, his voice firm and clear as he explains that they must strike a giant blue crystal with their weapons. This crystal, glowing with an otherworldly light, will reveal their magical power in numerical values, crucial for forming their dungeon practical groups in 2 days. Seo Chuno, eyes gleaming with curiosity, turns to Li Huiyang, commenting on his eagerness to see the true strength of the cadets. The first cadet steps forward, determination and anxiety etched on his face. He swings his weapon and strikes the crystal with all his might, and the crystal flares to life, displaying a score of 43. The crowd murmurs in surprise, someone noting that his first attempt is impressively solid. Seo Chuno, observing the reactions, deduces that a score of 43 is quite high. Li Huiyang, drawing from his implanted memories, recalls that this cadet is reputed to be strong. As the professor calls for the next candidate, Seo Chuno strides forward confidently. He strikes the crystal with a powerful blow, and the glowing numbers settle at 69. The cadets gasp in amazement, whispering among themselves about his evident strength. With a slight smile, Seo Chuno acknowledges that he must indeed be quite powerful. Kim Sayon, brimming with cocky bravado, shoves Chuno aside. He boasts that when it comes to punch machines, he is the best. With a loud shout, he punches the crystal, achieving a score of 75. Flexing his impressive biceps, he taunts the others to eat well and build stronger muscles. A cadet exclaims in shock that Sayong managed such a high score without any weapon. However, the room falls silent as Sunsuan fires a magic bullet with pinpoint accuracy of the crystal, wearing a cold and focused expression. The shot slices through the air, narrowly missing Sayang's face, and the crystal flashes a staggering score of 98. Disbelief washes over the cadets. One questions how such a feat is even possible, while another wonders about the ability to infuse mana into a gun. Li Huiyang swells with pride, thinking that his tower teammates far outshine the academy cadets. Just then, the next cadet approaches the crystal. With a commanding presence, he strikes it, and the numbers climb to an astounding 115. It is Yunim. Li Huiyang's eyes widen, acknowledging that Yunim's strength is in a league of its own. He recalls a vague memory, sensing that Yunim is destined for something significant. In the cafeteria, Kim Sayon, between enthusiastic bites of food, affectionately calls out to Huiyang, playfully questioning why he hadn't achieved better results. Li Huiyang shrugs nonchalantly, responding that such results hardly matter when there's no reward to be gained from them. Che Yiziel, amused by the scene, notes how Seong's speech is remarkably clear despite his mouth being full. Siu Chino observes the exchange, remarking that he's beginning to see Huiyang in a new light. Momentarily lost in thought, Li Huiyang reflects on his score of 64. He knows he can't afford a high score but must remain in the same dungeon practical group as Yunim. However, he aims to avoid being marked as a group leader. Their lively mealtime is abruptly interrupted by a status window announcing the commencement of the second quest. The atmosphere grows tense as Kim Sayon, Seo Chino, Che Yiziel, and Sunsuan turn their attention to the message. The quest details are stark. Their mission is to rescue Yunim, with a time limit of 1 hour, located at the river garden. Che Yiziel recalls the previous day, asking if Yunim is the strong cadet they saw in the dungeon. Seo Chino confirms this, pondering if Yunim has fallen into a trap. They note the fortunate proximity of the river garden, but the urgency of the task leaves them anxious about their chances of success. Li Huiyang, with a grave expression, contemplates the situation. He remembers that after Yunim's regression, he dealt with a few troublemakers within the academy. Unfortunately, one of those troublemakers was the only son of Park Yongsuk, the guild leader of Red Moon, a prestigious guild. Enraged, Park Yongsuk ordered his elite hunters to brutalize Yunim until he was on the brink of death. In the novel, Yunim had been miraculously saved by someone, thanks to the Ring of Nick. The group quickly decides to head towards the river garden. Che Yiziel, aware of the potential danger, remarks that if Yunim is in trouble, the situation must be dire. Li Huiyang agrees, acknowledging that their opponents won't be easily defeated with conventional methods. He also knows that despite Yunim's current strength, he is still just an academy cadet, and rescuing him is essential. Yunim kneels on the ground, panting heavily as a voice sneers from behind him. The man, clearly irritated, mocks Yunim for having the nerve to challenge their young master, calling him a daring pest. The man adjusts his black glasses just as a flash of light distracts him. A magic bullet from Sunsuan strikes him directly. Li Huiyang, taken aback by this sudden move, asks Suyan what prompted her to act so abruptly. She coolly replies that she simply doesn't like him. Kim Seong hurries towards the man, pointing out that he favors those without powerful backing. Li Huiyang calls out to Seong, draws his sword, and clearly annoyed, urges everyone to get moving. One of the men creates a defensive shield and questions the presence of a gun. Another, wielding a sword-like weapon, wonders aloud if these newcomers are academy cadets. The man hit by Suyan's bullet curses them as arrogant fools, while his companion mocks him for letting these brats land a hit. The injured man snaps back, telling his ally to keep quiet. Li Huiyang observes the scene, realizing that although Suyan's shot seemed hasty, her timing was flawless. Surrounded by 3 opponents with a noticeable difference in skill, he understands that their only chance to create an opening is through a surprise attack, exactly what Suyan has delivered. Seizing the chance, Yunim rises and attacks the man who was hit by Suyan's bullet, his sword cutting through the air with precision. However, the remaining 2 enemies dodge his strikes with quick reflexes. Yunim tells Huiyang he's baffled by their continuous appearance, but stresses that now isn't the time for questions. Huiyang agrees, suggesting they focus on solving the problem at hand before exchanging thanks. Kim Seong leaps at the injured man, identifying him as the weak link, and unleashes his level 2 stone fist spell. But the man quickly raises a barrier, blocking Seong's attack. As the scene unfolds, Li Huiyang and the others watch intently while the furious man hurls insults at them, calling them disrespectful brats. The barrier flings Kim Seong across the floor, and his teammates rush to check on him, their voices filled with concern. The man revolts in his moan of triumph, laughing at the cadets and mocking their limited experience within the academy, oblivious to the harsh realities outside. The battle rages on, with cadets and men clashing fiercely. Amid the chaos, Li Huiyang instructs Sunsuan to hold their position and defend them from the rear while they engage on the front lines. Sueyan snaps back, questioning his authority as she fires magic bullets with precision. Li Huiyang directs the injured to fall back and receive healing from Yisiel before rejoining the fray. As Che Yisiel heals Yunim, he glances at his hand in astonishment, realizing his wounds have mended quickly. He is amazed to discover such impressive healing skills possessed by a fellow cadet. Fighting valiantly, Li Huiyang shouts that despite their enemy's toughness, the quest is designed to be achievable. He urges his team to utilize the skills they've learned from their studies. Following his lead, Seo Chuno strikes a man with a Thaw Slash, while Kim Seong unleashes the first punch of the Fist King on another. Meanwhile, An Sechang, seemingly lost in his own world, sets up a tent amid the chaos. Li Huiyang watches in confusion, surprised by his unexpected behavior. In the midst of the turmoil, one of the men sneers at the quest and their books, mocking the idea that they could waste time on such trivial matters. He suggests their opponents must be underestimating them. With a menacing shout, he lunges into action, joined by his two accomplices. A loud explosion shakes the ground, and Li Huiyang gasps for breath, taking in their formidable strength. Despite their past victories and the bonds they'd formed, he realizes that the men's experience and coordination are on a whole different level. He considers that if they could somehow bring down one of them, the others might falter. Yet every angle seems blocked off, as if facing an unbreakable iron door. Che Yisiel, maintaining her composure, assures her team she will back them up. One of the men smirks, ridiculing their persistence and commenting on the bright future of hunters in their land. But his ally warns him that if things continue as they are, they could find themselves in serious trouble too. The man, visibly irritated, curses under his breath and charges forward, setting his sights on Che Yisiel. Li Huiyang's urgent shout to Yisiel cuts through the noise. Quick to react, Yunim throws his sword at the advancing man, yelling for him to stop. The man, momentarily distracted, jumps back, cursing Yunim. Meanwhile, the other two men charge in, one scolding the reckless attacker. Li Huiyang stands amidst the chaos, his eyes sharp as he notices that the once unbreakable formation has now been breached. A gaping hole has appeared in the sturdy iron wall they had relied on. Nearby, one of the men shouts that now that the situation has come to this, he will kill them all. Li Huiyang grins, feeling their mounting anxiety as they grow impatient, their plans delayed longer than anticipated. His smile widens as he senses their growing frustration, knowing exactly why they are on edge. As the men prepare to strike, Huiyang taunts them, wondering aloud if their chairman must be seething with anger by now. The three attackers halt, stunned by his words. One curses at Huiyang, demanding to know what he means. Li Huiyang continues to provoke them, naming their chairman, Park Yongshuk of the Red Moon, and noting that he is infamous for his impatience. The men's shock turns to fear as they realize the truth in Huiyang's words, shuddering at the thought of the chairman's rage and the countless lives lost to his anger. In that moment, Huiyang and his teammates seize their chance. Yunim springs into action, his sword slicing through the air to strike one of the men. At the same time, Sunsuan fires a series of magic bullets with deadly accuracy. Li Huiyang, focused and determined, joins the attack with his own sword. Together, they press their advantage, intent on overwhelming their opponents with their combined effort. As the two men peer down at their fallen comrade sprawled on the ground, their gaze shifts to Li Huiyang and his group, who are now encircling them with an intense presence. One of the men bursts into laughter, suggesting it's time to call it a day. With a resigned shrug, they hoist their injured companion onto their shoulders. One remarks that while their chairman will likely be enraged at their return in this state, the sight of Korea's future hunters makes it all worthwhile. The other man complains to his fallen mate that he always does as he pleases. With a casual, almost playful farewell, they slip away into the night, leaving behind a light-hearted taunt, calling them kiddos and advising them to take care. The status window flashes triumphantly, announcing the quest's success, and the cadets burst into cheers, celebrating their victory. Amid the excitement, Li Huiyang breathes a sigh of relief, glancing at the status window that shows only 2 minutes remaining. Yunim steps forward, asking if Huiyang knew what was going to happen today. Li Huiyang deftly shifts the focus, reminding Yunim that they just saved him and suggesting he should express his gratitude first. Yunim, flustered, mumbles a quick thanks, which Huiyang teasingly pretends not to hear. A smile tugs at Huiyang's lips as he reflects on how transformative this regression must be for Yunim. Regaining his composure, Yunim thanks Huiyang once more. Li Huiyang ponders that Yunim has never faced anything quite like this in his previous regressions. As Huiyang turns to leave, he advises Yunim to be cautious, noting that this regression will be more challenging than any he has encountered before. Yunim, with a hint of curiosity, asks if Huiyang is a regressor as well. Huiyang's smile widens as he responds that he is something even more extraordinary. Yunim's gaze lingers on Huiyang, and he places a hand on his shoulder, reminding him that he has forgotten to mention how to escape the curse of regression. Huiyang simply offers a casual "oh," leaving the matter unresolved. The next morning, excitement fills the classroom as the professor prepares to announce the groupings for the dungeon practical scheduled for the following day. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, and every student listens intently. The professor begins to speak, starting with the announcement of the first group leader. However, Li Huiyang, lost in thought, barely notices. In his mind, he mutters about Yunim, calling him a rascal and acknowledging his knack for getting things right. His eyes wander to the status window, where the armor of Thea is displayed, offering a 25% increase in defense. A pleased smile spreads across his face as he remembers the previous night. Yunim had been holding the armor, admiring it and thanking Huiyang for his help. This memory fills him with pride. The professor's voice pulls him back to the present as he announces that Group 4's leader is Yunim. Huiyang's focus sharpens as he hears that Yunim's group will include Wu Jiho, Shin Sungbium, Go Youngwoo, and, to his satisfaction, himself. He realizes that being placed in Yunim's group, thanks to his strategic choices, is a step toward earning the best reward. Despite his internal triumph, he knows there are still challenges to face before he can fully celebrate. In the afternoon sunlight, the tension between Yunim and Huiyang is palpable. Yunim, clearly upset, turns to Huiyang and expresses his concern. He knows that the dungeon in their practical session is about to go berserk. He explains that while dungeon berserk events are not uncommon, it's strange for them to occur simultaneously. Despite his numerous regressions, Yunim has never figured out what causes these disruptions. He looks earnestly at Huiyang, insisting that if he has any special knowledge, he should share it. Desperate for answers, Yunim pleads with Huiyang to reveal any insights he might have, especially if his role is more significant than that of a typical regressor. Li Huiyang, reflecting on the novel's plot, realizes that, according to the story, 3 groups, including Group 4, will face the dungeon's berserk state. He recalls that only Group 4, which includes Yunim, survives the disaster. However, the novel doesn't explain why the berserk event occurs, leaving Huiyang at a loss. He apologizes, admitting he doesn't have all the answers. Frustrated, Yunim grabs Huiyang by the collar, his face a mix of determination and exasperation. He insists that even if the outcome seems inevitable, Huiyang should still try to make a difference. Feeling overwhelmed, Huiyang responds with a frustrated shout that he really doesn't know what to do. He thinks about how the author never provided any clues and ended the story vaguely. At that moment, Sunsuan, who has been listening from a distance, cautiously approaches and peeks around the corner. She is shocked to see Huiyang's shirt torn, Yunim's tie askew, and his shirt buttons undone. Li Huiyang is gripping Yunim's collar, while Yunim's hand is holding Huiyang's tie. She freezes, eyes wide with surprise, before quickly turning away and mumbling that she must have gotten lost again. Both Huiyang and Yunim, caught off guard, try to explain, but their attempts to clarify are lost in the awkwardness of the moment. Group 4 stands before their designated dungeon, the professor's voice breaking the silence with a clear command to enter. As they step into the chamber, the status window activates, flashing a message that confirms their entry and outlines their task: clear the dungeon for their practical test. Huiyang exhales deeply, his thoughts drifting back to Suyan's disapproving glare, where she warned him to keep his distance, implying he was worse than a beast. The sting of her words lingers, adding to his worries about the unresolved dungeon berserk incident and the recent misunderstandings. Taking the lead, Yunim suggests they split up to explore the dungeon. He reminds them to use the radio if they run into trouble. The group nods and disperses, each stepping cautiously into the shadows. Huiyang, with a resigned sigh, picks a direction to start his exploration. Go Youngwoo, observing Huiyang's troubled expression, watches him quietly before moving off into the dungeon. As Li Huiyang strides through the dimly lit corridors, his thoughts consume him, considering the groups caught in chaos: Group 4, Group 8, and Group 12. He sorts them in his mind. Group 4 is his own, Group 9 includes Che Yiziel and Sunsuan, and Group 12 is led by Kim Seong. He feels reassured about Group 9, knowing that Yiziel's healing skills and the Star Killer Shoyan's strength will help them survive the dangers of the 5th floor. When he thinks of Group 12 with Seong at the helm, he is momentarily speechless, silently wishing them success. Suddenly, his attention snaps back to the present as he detects the presence of monsters. Two appear right in front of him, and Hoyeon's grip tightens around his sword. He knows he must focus on the threat at hand, but as he glances over his shoulder, he is taken aback to find Go Yeonwoo, the youngest player in his group at just 17, clinging to him with tears building in his eyes. Yeonwoo, an explorer, looks up with a mix of fear and apology. Lee Hoyeon gazes at Yeonwoo, wondering why he is crying, feeling a deep concern for the situation at hand.